Takže dámy a pánové, je to u konce. Global Games konečně skončily a my z toho odcházíme jako vítězové. Byla to neuvěřitelná cesta a určitě o tomto turnaji ještě uvidíte spoustu videí, ať už to jsou různý storytimey, ať už to jsou další analýzy, rozbory těch zápasů, jak ode mě, tak od pokrovače Járy a Standy a td. Ale pro dnešek tady mám pro vás nesestříhanou verzi celého finálového zápasu, který jsme si teda neuvěřitelně užili a doufám, že se ho užijete stejně tak i vy. Díky moc.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Hearthstone Global Games final here at Gamescom. Blizzard has brought a lot for you guys this weekend. Here at the Hearthstone stage, we had the raid against Arthas. We had an incredible performance from our teams who came out for the Hearthstone Global Games. We had a brand new cinematic that I hope you just enjoyed. And now it's time for the crown jewel of the event, the finals of the Hearthstone Global Games. To remind you all how we got here and how these teams were selected, I'm going to hand you over to our casters, Sottle and Raven.
Thanks a lot, Rachel. I am joined by Sottle, of course, and we've had quite the long journey to get to this point, to 2 final teams out of a total of 48. Did you expect these 2 to be the 2 that are actually left?
I can't honestly hold my hands up and say yes, because of course my prediction was Russia, who did fall by the wayside, but Ukraine were very much in my considerations. Czech Republic perhaps weren't in my top 4, let's say it that way, but for sure in my top 10, definitely a very, very strong team. But again, need to reiterate the work that has been done to get these teams to this point. 2 entire group stages, round-robin group stages, then a single elimination bracket before they even got to Gamescom, and then they've had to take out one other incredible team, as you are watching them each do now.
Yeah, we saw yesterday that Ukraine started off by taking on South Korea, the team I thought was going to make it, and it was a very close, bit of a back-and-forth series overall, but it was Ukraine that took it in the end. You see Nick Chipper, he's been very excited as one of the Hunter Masters, getting to play his class and taking a very strong win with it. I really didn't expect to see this Warlock mirror that we did, and South Korea almost held on. They just needed Blood Reaver Gul'dan to be able to just snap back, and it just didn't happen for them. As you can see, pretty full hand, but not with the Death Knight form of Gul'dan.
Yeah, this matchup in particular was a real treat. I knew, of course, the format means that every team needs to bring a Warlock with them. I was expecting this is the Warlock that we'd get to see, but of course the chances of a mirror match are very, very low. It was a fantastic mirror to watch. Both players were actually without their Blood Reaver Gul'dan, the big power punch for the entire match, but it was Dr. Hippie able to take it down to Ukraine. But then this moment, the eye for an eye that was picked, what, on turn 2 by Ukraine? They had the option to go for a redemption and try and push with a little bit more pressure, but the eye for an eye sealed it in the end, and Ukraine were our first finalists.
Yeah, very solid play from those guys. But then we moved on to the second series of the day, which was Czech Republic versus Team USA. And it was Czech Republic that ended up taking it in the long run. And they looked very, very strong throughout this series, to be honest. I think Team USA was the favorite for many, many viewers.
Yeah, and this matchup in particular, I can tell you that Firebat was devastated to lose. They wanted to line up Pirate Warrior into this deck. They felt like Big Priest was going to come out from the Czech Republic, and they queued up Pirate Warrior to try and beat it, but it was an impressive draw from the Czech Republic that was able to beat them out. And then this final game, the Discover option that broke Twitter, the Ice Block versus Frostlich Jaina decision that we can go back and evaluate to the death. The decision made was Ice Block, and it ended up being Fatigue for Team USA and Victory for Team Czech Republic, and they went on to take on Ukraine in the grand finals, as you are about to watch right now, Ray.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen as well from Global Games. It's been amazing to discover new players in regions you may not have heard too much from, but also you get to see games like that decide a game between Stan Cifka and Amnesiac. You know, that's something you kind of expect in the finals of a major tournament, and there's no different here. We can see the 2 teams we have that are going to be playing today, Team Ukraine and Czech Republic. The winner gets the title.
Slight advantage here from this bracket, as you can see, for Ukraine, who went through in a more dominant fashion. And that is very a real advantage in this format because the deck lists are completely hidden. We don't know them, the opposition team doesn't know them. The only people who know the exact makeup of the deck list are the teams themselves. So Ukraine only had to reveal 6 decks to make their way through, whereas Czech Republic had to reveal 7, meaning Ukraine have more concealed information in their pocket for this finals.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll see if that actually comes into play as the series is getting very, very close to kicking off. But we're going to go back over to Rachel to introduce the 2 teams.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We started 4 months ago with 48 teams. Now we're down to just 2, so please help me welcome them to the stage, Ukraine and Czech Republic. Gentlemen, your achievements have been part of a team effort. So I want to start off by hearing from each of you, and Czech, I'm going to start off with you, about what each of your teammates has best contributed to how far you've gotten today.
Well, I think Stan has said it best in its video. So basically, Stan is doing most of the deck building because he's the best in the world in it. Pokrovak and the ally are the best mechanic players I've known. And I'm putting the things together.
You are crowning it all off, putting it all together. I'm so proud of everything you guys have done. And I'll be back to you in just a minute. But Naria, same question. Tell me what each of these guys contributes best to your team.
So I'm the guy who does all the preparation, scouting deck lists, making the pair classes, all the deck lists as well for our own team. Kalento is our brain center during the game. He kind of makes most of the decisions. And Dr. Hippie and Nick Cheaper are doing the tracking opponent's hand and our cards, what we have left and stuff like that. Separately, Nick Cheaper is our Smorg master, and Dr. Hippie is just Dr. Hippie.
Fantastic. Thank you for that assessment, Naria. Now, the one question I have for you guys is, I heard Stan Sivka has to approve every single move that you guys make. Is that true?
It could be.
It could be. Well, we'll be watching you guys closely. Watch Stan's lips and see if he speaks before every turn. But gentlemen, before we get this final match underway, I want to give you an opportunity to say anything to the fans or to each other.
Okay, so I would like to tell to all our fans in Czech Republic and Slovakia or here at Gamescom, we love you. Thanks for your support.
And anything for the Ukraine?
I don't think so.
All right, we'll leave it all on the table. Well, Naria, anything you want to say to the fans or potentially your opponents?
Fans, thank you for supporting us, and good luck, and have fun, Czech Republic.
All right, good luck, have fun. Gentlemen, please shake hands. And you can take your seats. Let's get this match underway. Sottle and Raven, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Rachel. Very interesting. I would have liked to have seen what Kalento would have said if he was being interviewed and asked, is there anything you want to say to the other team? He'd probably just be like, you're already dead. It's like,
get on my level, kids.
Yeah.
Oh, my kingdom for some smack talk in Hearthstone. I could go on for days about how I'd like to see a little bit more confidence come out of these players. But there was one interesting little thing that we picked up on in that pre-match interview there, Raven.
Yeah, 100%. When Team Czech were asked, how do you players break down, right? Who does what? They were saying Stan Sivka, best deck builder in the world, and I'll hold my hands up. Stan Sivka is known for deck building. But when we spoke to Team Ukraine, they had a little bit something to say about Stan Sivka's deck building too.
They did. Their words were that Stan Sivka has some original ideas, but very often they go too far, and they think actually some of the wackier decks that Czech Republic have brought might actually be an exploitable weakness on their part, particularly looking at that Big Priest list that we've seen already. That even for Big Priest, which is a kind of a niche deck to begin with, is very, very wacky with the Mind Vision, Thought Steal. Yep. There's all kinds of weirdness in there. Believe that it's just the list that Stan Sivka has published a very popular guide on a popular net deck site.
Yeah, and I think the thing mainly about that Big Priest that we saw yesterday is it does one singular thing. That is it. It does one thing.
Is that thing draw barns on 4?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
How did you know? Have you played against this deck before?
Once or twice, yeah.
Maybe once or twice. But it does one thing very, very well, but that makes the deck extremely predictable and extremely linear. And we'll see if, one, they even get to play it, whether they even pick it. We'll see if that happens. But if it does, then their opponents, Ukraine, will know exactly what the plan is. And now we can see the lineup and the decks we're going to be seeing early on. We are going to be seeing Yala versus Kalento for game number 1. It's going to be Yala on the Paladin and Kalento on the Shaman. It is going to be a best of 7. Basically, first team to 4 wins takes it, and the players will play in the order you see on the screen right now.
Yep, complicated version. Each player has to allocate 2 classes to themselves. They will play for the first time. They have a free choice of either of their classes. Then when they come up to play again, if required to do so, they must play the opposite class to the one they played previously. But simple version, as Raven has already spelled out for you, win 4 games of Hearthstone. Take home the Hearthstone Global Games Championship.
Yeah, we had lovely shots of the crowd just then as we had at the opening. It's actually kind of huge. I've never been to Gamescom before until now. And like this one hall with all the Blizzard games is absolutely gigantic with so many fans. This is one hall of many, so it's been kind of awesome to have such a huge crowd. We've filled the actual area we've got designated, and now everyone is just standing on the outside of that because they can still see it on the big screen. So that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, incredible atmosphere. You know, very comparable just in this one hall in the Blizzard area to the BlizzCon atmosphere that we experienced at the end of last year. So, and beyond that, Gamescom is just a massive, sprawling event, hundreds of thousands of people in attendance. And of course, it's been an incredible experience to be here, and it's such a fitting finale for the Hearthstone Global Games.
Yeah, and it looks like the players are just about getting ready to play. So let's kick off game number 1 of the finals of the Hearthstone Global Games. It is Czech Republic versus Ukraine, Yala versus Kalento. And no, this is not a practice game.
Do not adjust your signal.
You saw those cards in the opening hand. We caught a slight glimpse of this when we were with the teams while they were practicing. We were like, what are you doing? Is this against the Lich King? Is this some kind of secret strategy? And like, no, they were on ladder testing this.
I'm really pleased that those were shown in the mulligan, so we do not have to pretend we don't know they're there.
Yeah, we're allowed to talk about it now. It's fantastic.
So the idea behind them is that, for a start, like just the Wind Fury minion itself is very, very useful when you have massive buffs in your deck, like Spike Ridge Steed, like Blessing of Kings, etc. But you're also playing Corpse Taker, which picks up buffs from keyword cards in your deck, so it can get Divine Shield, Taunt, and/or Wind Fury, depending on whether you have those cards remaining in your deck. So that Stormwatcher is there to increase the power of your turn 4 Corpse Taker and potentially get you a 4-mana, 3/3 Divine Shield, Taunt, Lifesteal, Wind Fury minion.
Sorry, what was that? Can you say that again?
No, no, I cannot.
Didn't think so, but yeah, I'm really interested to see, one, you know, if it's drawn and if it happens, but also just how powerful is that, a 4-mana 3/3 with Wind Fury and all those extra buffs. But getting back to the actual game now, as they were mulliganed away, we don't see any Corpse Takers. We do see patches in the opening hand, not what Kalento and Team Ukraine want to see here. Gonna start off though with the Jade Claws, pretty nice, clear and clean way to deal with this Tidecaller.
Stormwatcher pops back up again, refuses to stay in the deck, which is actually where Czech Republic want it. They want it to remain in the deck.
They never want to draw that card.
Activate the Corpse Taker on turn 4. They do play 2 of them. Some lists, I know Jambray in the UK played around with this idea as well. He was only playing 1. So his Corpse Taker would have been ruined already by drawing this first Stormwatcher. There is a second copy in the deck for Czech Republic. We did see both in the opening mulligan.
Also as well, this is just, there are 2 cards in the hand that actually make Corpse Taker worse now, because Burn Bristle is already there. And although, you know, good card in this matchup, you know, it has multiple trades versus some of the smaller minions that Evolved Shaman puts on the board. But suddenly, these Corpse Takers are now just, at the moment, 4-mana 3/3 Divine Shield Taunt. Still with Wind Fury because the second one.
Yes.
But that's just significantly less powerful already, and we've not even seen a Corpse Taker in hand yet.
For sure. J-Claw's massive importance to Team Ukraine here. Although they did draw patches, which is obviously a miserable scenario, it's not even really worth talking about how bad drawing that card is. I'm sure you all know it by now, but J-Claws is a nice security blanket at least, because all of the minions that Czech Republic have been able to develop into these opening turns have been the 1/2 Murloc Tidecallers. J-Claws, of course, farms them completely, and Ukraine have the perfect curve follow-up as well with Firefly. Probably just considering here what they make the attack with, whether they want to keep the more efficient J-Claws in play, whether they want to trade with the minion with the weapons instead, or whether they, as they ended up doing, they just completely ignore the 1/1 and say, you know what, mate, you're on turn 3. There is no way you leverage a minion against me on turn 3. It's turn 4 where Blessing of Kings comes into play, and beyond that where your other more powerful buffs come into play as well.
Yeah, and also as well, you just see the powers just going on what you said, the power of J-Claws, because if that was just Firefly, then suddenly the Murloc tie-collared number 2 gets played,
right?
And then the first one trades with the Firefly, and then Burn Bristle on curve, and then this is exactly how Murloc Paladin kind of just runs away with games. Now it's going to be a little bit slower. Wicker Flame, Burn Bristle does get some work done here, but it's already like dead on board, effectively.
Yes.
And the heal at 29 isn't going to make much of a difference. This is mainly used to now stop Kolento going wide on the board too heavily.
Do keep an eye as this series progresses, by the way, on the role of Stan Cifka backstage, because they were a little bit cagey in their answer with Czech Republic, but they told us, there was no off-the-record declared. We had a very clear...
We didn't sign anything.
Right.
We didn't sign anything.
We very clearly said, hey, we're going to interview you for things that we can talk about while we're casting, and they told us that Stan Cifka has to approve every single decision that gets made. He is the ultimate shot caller. So do keep an eye on that dynamic continuing in the background. Keep your eye on Stan Cifka. He's likely to be the most vocal and the most animated member of the team. And remember, what that means is that although one player steps up to pilot each individual deck, it is a full collaborative effort between all 4.
Yeah, and look at this from Team Ukraine as well. You know, again, in the interview, Nairi was kind of joking that, like, you know, Kolento has a lot of say, of course, whenever he's not playing. But, like, you know, Nick Chipper is getting involved, Doc Tippy's getting involved as well. It isn't what some may seem as, you know, Nairi and Kolento run the show, and Nick Chipper and Hippie are there to just, like, pilot their decks, right? Nick Chipper knows what he's doing, I imagine, especially with a deck like this, which is generally quite aggressive. You know, that's his wheelhouse, basically, as a Hunter player.
Had a feeling you were going to go to Wheelhouse. Just when you have that moment's pause, he's going to say Wheelhouse. We're starting to know each other a little bit too well, right?
Yeah, well, past that point, unfortunately. For some reason, I was thinking of Wheeltown. I was like, I don't even know what Wheeltown is. I'm just making up phrases as we go. And then it just clicked. I was like, no, it's actually Wheelhouse is the one everyone's going to understand. We do see a Corpse Taker come down now, though, and there's the nod. Kolento will be like, what is that little effect? I know the Divine Shield, I know the Taunt, but what is... Oh, they're running a Wind Fury minion.
Yep.
And to be honest, it's only really Stormwatcher that you would run, right? That has Wind Fury.
Seems unlikely you're going to be slamming any young Dragonhawks in your deck anytime soon.
You maybe add a Blessing of Might and, you know, you got a whole different deck. Let's go.
But yeah, I mean, the tech is out there as well. You know, you brought it up to me when we were looking at this deck backstage that this is something that our UK compatriot Jambray has tried out in the past. So, you know, all 8 of these players are massive students of the game. They will have been scouring deck lists that got posted for the first couple of weeks of this expansion. And I'm sure they have a good clue that if a Corpse Taker gets Wind Fury, that means there is a Stormwatcher in the deck.
Yeah. Now, Kolento does just have a pretty straightforward answer in the form of this Jade Lightning, and I think, yeah, it's too simple to not do, right? If you see Sirenite Chain Gang there, card you may not be too familiar with, depending on how much you've played since the expansion has come out, but it's pretty much Feral Spirit, but for 4 mana and doesn't overload you.
Yeah, I like to call it Pantry Spider 2.0 as well. Like Pantry Spider was a deck that was in the very, very first initial builds of Evolve Shaman, like in the original Evolve expansion. Yeah, you've got 2-3 mana bodies that you then evolve into 4-drops. Saronite Chain Gang, pretty much the same thing, but with 4s into 5s, as well as just being a little more standalone value for its mana cost than Pantry Spider was.
Yeah, and you look at this now, it's going to be pretty cool to see, because both of these decks, or at least the archetypes, can just explode onto the board early on and just put a high amount of pressure on, but they can also do pretty well in the late game too. So I feel like this is a pretty even matchup in the way it's been going so far, as this Tidecaller now is going to be a little bit more sticky with that 1/5. The Megasaur down as well. Flame Tongue actually really helps here and provides a full board clear.
Yeah, that Flame Tongue is super clutch in this position. They do have patches, which of course is a terrible draw. You could, even if they drew a Blood Cell Corsair, they'd be able to do the same thing with patches and Flame Tongue in hand, but they can at least get some usage out of it now by utilizing that Flame Tongue alongside, and some great clearing options are coming down, but they may want to go for a heavier totem turn to start discounting that thing from below a bit more.
Really tough as well, though, because even the totem, you get value, but you lose a lot of the board anyway. So even just building up that totem early, then Yeah, you know, it reduces the thing from below, but then you're missing out on your other options you've got. Right. Although, you know, we look at the hand, Doppelgangster isn't just going to be slammed on the board on turn 5 at the moment. There's no Evolves even in hand. There's no Thrall Death Knight in hand either. So the Flame Tongue, not too much of a surprise. See the J-Claws come down now, though, so it's just going to be a hell of a lot of damage. What do you even kill here? You just do the one trade.
And you can still use patches for the full clear if you really want to.
Going into turn 6 is the main one against Spike Ridge Steed.
Yep, exactly.
But that's really the main problem. We can see as well, double Spike Ridge Steed with the Stormwatcher in hand. There's Bone Mare as well, another incredibly powerful late game card. And you do wonder what is actually cut from this list to fit in the Stormwatchers, because Murloc Paladin doesn't often have too many open slots.
Right, the one-drop Murlocs have kind of been cut down most commonly now. You don't see Grimscale Chum too often, but that's almost a direct replacement most of the time for Righteous Protector, which is coming into that slot as well. So that doesn't open up tech card slots for you. But it does seem like there's several different versions out there now. There's like the Dread Corsair version that still finds room to put in those extra Dread Corsairs alongside the True Silver Champions and Rallying Blades. So there are a couple of open slots that you can just flirt around with as to which particular direction you want to push the deck in.
Yeah, the real question is, are Paladins playing with 32 cards in the deck?
I mean,
it feels like it sometimes.
I've actually seen Stonehill Defenders getting cut out as well, which is maybe even slightly too late in my opinion. I feel like Stonehill Defender was a weak performing card the more the meta went on. Yes, it's fantastic value, but it's so low impact compared to some of the plays you can be making with some of the cards you can replace it with instead. So it might be a Stonehill cut that we're seeing as well from the Czech Republic.
Awesome. Looking at this board, like, how good was Flame Tongue a draw? Because the rest of this hand doesn't do too much. If you're playing Saranac Chain Gang, you mainly want some kind of Evolve or, you know, something at least as an option. You don't have to just slam it,
right?
But as an option. Currently, Team Ukraine have no access to Evolve, no access to Thrall for the double Evolve big turn, then the hero power after that. So at the moment, it's like, well, yeah, we still have the board, but for how long? You know, if it goes 1 to 2 additional turns, then Evolve is really going to be needed here.
And here you can see the reason why they were so happy to play Jade Claws for no immediate impact, apart from the 3/3 body, which of course is a big deal, instead of pressing the totem button last turn to further discount their thing from below, because they knew they had this turn lined up perfectly. Totem into discounting thing by 1, and then playing out for 3 was going to fill out their mana curve perfectly alongside the overload for the Jade Claws. Yep. And this board has now been well and truly lost by the Czech Republic, and we were talking about cuts from this deck earlier. One of the first cards to go by the wayside these days actually is Consecration, because you have Corpse Taker.
Sorry.
Go ahead. It's much more important.
If you saw the bench there, Kalento didn't even wince when he saw that. Yeah. The bench though, Nyria sort of just sat back. Nick Chipper literally looked at Dr. Hippie, looked at Nyria, and then just looked forward in blatant confused manner. He was like, what is this card?
Yep.
Is this new? Nobody knows, because they've never seen it in a legitimate game of Hearthstone before. But now it's all on Team Ukraine to work out how they're going to deal with it, and they have very, very straightforward answers.
Yeah, I spoke to CzechCloud very early on when we first arrived here at the venue on our rehearsal day, and he said, hey, look out for our decks, there's some groundbreaking stuff. And then I watched them play their semifinals, and I was like, yeah, I was like, Pirate Warrior, Murloc Paladin, Jade Druid, where's the groundbreaking, mate? He came back today and said, you haven't seen anything yet. The big guns are coming out soon.
I did wonder if ground was just check for face. And I was like, face-breaking decks. Oh, okay, right. We get it.
Lost in translation.
Yeah, it all just makes sense. Now we see the Blood Cell Corsair isn't going to be able to have this patch's value, but one, Kalento and Team Ukraine are already just pushing so much damage, they could end this game very quickly. And if there is a weapon, if Rallying Blade, a True Silver Champion, there's just an easy 1 mana, remove that 1 durability, just in hand, ready and waiting.
Yeah, and here's the problem that you see from the Czech Republic. When you go all in like this, on just trying to dominate the board with the most minion efficiency that you can, and then leverage buffs like Blessing Your King, Spike Ridge Steed, Bone Mare. When you don't plant minions in the early turns, you end up stranded with a handful of buff effects, and there's no removal in your deck to answer the board anymore. And now they're just in a position where they're just scrambling for survival. The only play that keeps them alive is just slapping a Spike Ridge Steed on a 1/1 recruit, but that's not going to be good enough to fight for the board.
Really not, because even though there's still no evolves, the fact that these minions have just been effectively uncontested all game, to be completely honest.
But
just means
this
that
guy
there's
right here,
so
third
much
from your
damage.
left,
Yeah.
the fact that that guy, Flame Tongue Totem, has been uncontested the entire match means the value is infinite for Shaman at that point.
Hammer Wrath would have dealt with this, I'm just saying. Maybe you take the Stormwatch down and add the Hammer
Wrath in, we're all good.
You will never Flame Tongue Tome me again.
All right, take the headset off, run over, pitch that idea to Czech Republic right now. We'll see if we can get a regame going. How about that?
I don't believe they're allowed to just say, no, I don't want to lose that game, let me rebuild the deck.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's against the rules. We might have to double check, but I'm pretty confident on this one. Spite Steed, there is a second one and a Bone Mare and a Blessing of Kings, but when you throw all those together in a hand this early, bear in mind the Storm Watcher was in hand from turn 2, was it? Was it the second
It was
draw?
2 or 3, yeah. It was very
So
early.
like, these are not the draws you want in this deck, especially if you're skipping cards like Consecrate, for example, as a cut. Then you need that board because Paladin, without Consecrate and without even an early weapon, has no way to actually get that board back.
Oh, Raven, you're so enchanting. Look at the majesty.
Yeah. Not in game, just on the stage. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, there's an enchanted Raven on that. I didn't even notice. I just thought I'd bring it up.
So genuine, Sal.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You go to acting class?
No.
I thought you would have.
Just natural,
So
mate.
natural skill. Okay, well, very limited things here Yala can do about this.
Yeah, and this is the problem, right? They just didn't hit the early curve. They didn't have an oppressive Murloc start. The small little Murloc push that they had got immediately shut down by Jade Claws. They didn't have a Righteous Protector to try and wall things out early on. They didn't get that Vilefin to start getting the infinite hero power value, which can then pull you back into a game even with a Gentle Megasaur if you're able to land
poison
it
plus
later on.
attack, whatever.
Exactly. They just have had no way to build a board. They've drawn way too many buff cards, as well as that Stormwatcher, which, let's be honest, is not a good Hearthstone card. It's not a card you put in your deck with the intention of playing it on the board and winning the game. It's there because of its auxiliary effect on the Corpse Taker, a completely different card. It's, you know, it's a comparable idea to like a deck building sacrifice where you put one-offs in your deck to activate Kazakus or Reno Jackson or whatever it was in the past. You are deliberately making a weak decision to try and hit a high roll earlier in the game.
Yep, there's something Team Ukraine just have to very quickly think about in what's the best way to trade in to this Spite Rich Steed. Mainly because of trying to manage Flame Tongue numbers. So if he trades the Chain Gang in first, it will guarantee a buff on the thing from below, but neither of the things dies from the trade afterwards.
Right.
So there is limited options, basically. They just need to work out what they want to trade into. They could just go the 7/5 thing from below and then use the Raven and then go from there, but then you don't get the guaranteed multiple Flame Tongue repeat value in the same turn.
Right, I think they just end up using the 2/7s to clear through the remainder of this, and then the 2/6, just use the 2 thing from below to plow through quite nicely. And it's just a decision at this point. Are you all in on them not having a quality Consecrate in their deck, or are you just going to stick with what you've got? Because there's reasons either way.
I think you should go face and evolve for a charge minion. Easy, end the game a turn earlier, why not?
I mean, you'd basically have to look at your board state and say, okay, do I have lethal but through Tyrion? In which case, why should I play anything in this position, right? Because that's the best defensive play they can make. They did have lethal in that situation, so in case a quality Consecrate did come out of nowhere, they then had Doppelgangster evolve for the refill. I think Ukraine navigated that very, very well. I would have liked to see the wacky deck building get rewarded, but whenever there's a wacky decision like that that doesn't come together, you have got to throw up the question mark, right?
I just love the repeated use of wacky there, because wacky is very quickly becoming a negative term in Hearthstone.
Sure.
It's like, oh, he's playing a wacky deck, which people just mean bad most of the time.
It rhymes with Jackie for a reason,
Well,
right?
there you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that is going to be Team Ukraine taking the first win off the back of Kalento piloting that Evolved Shaman. So that was just the first game of a best of 7 in these finals of Hearthstone Global Games, while the players are just getting ready for the next match. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we are back and ready to get into the next game of this grand final series between Czech Republic and Ukraine. And it looks like it's going to be Nairi versus Pokrovac going forward. We can see what classes they have chosen to play. Pokrovac could have picked Priest or Warrior, and he did go for his Warrior, and Nairi has gone for Warrior and Mage. I believe Ukraine were playing the Gunter Mage yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Hybrid Mage, yeah. Call it what you will. Sure. It had Frost Nova in there, so you kind of have to give that nod to Freeze Mage, but then there's the Mana Worms, Fireland Portals as well. That's why we're ending up with this kind of hybrid Mage tag. It's a deck that Zump really brought to popularity when he had a fantastic performance that garnered a lot of respect from a lot of pro players watching on, and really that deck was the shining star of his lineup at DreamHack Summer, I believe it was.
Yep. It was a very, very strong performance from the deck and the player as well. You know, when you've got the pro Hearthstone scene tweeting about how good a player is that no one really knows about.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah, you know they're good. You know they're good. See the players just getting ready now, just sorting out the decks. I believe we are going into the game very, very quickly. Just a reminder, Ukraine is 1-0 up. It is effectively the first 2-4. And they're going to take those series and take the win for the team.
And in case you didn't catch it yesterday, the Warrior deck was revealed by the Czech Republic, and it's more, as you can see, incredible innovation from Team Czech Republic. They are bringing out the rarely seen Pirate Warrior to try and smoke through this tournament.
I am shocked.
It's kind of what I was saying yesterday. I was promised innovation, and we got Pirate Warrior.
I mean, it's a very, very powerful deck. I know a lot of players, both pro, both casual, it doesn't matter, have been experimenting a lot with Garrosh, a lot with just Warrior in general post-expansion. But the consensus seems to be that, you know what? Pirate Warrior is really, really good still.
Yep, and no surprise. Hearthstone is, at its essence, a game that rewards initiative, a game that rewards tempo, and Pirate Warrior is pretty much the king of doing that. Fiery War Axe is the most efficient tempo tool in the early game, and the tools they have to flood the board early and deal huge amounts of damage is just unparalleled. This deck is not going anywhere, guys. You've always got to keep Pirate Warrior in mind. If you get too greedy, Pirates are going to be there to punish you.
Yeah, and look at this opening hand from Team Ukraine, though. 1, they're on the coin. 2 Doomsayers. And they still have stuff after that. Arcanologist to guarantee a secret, Primordial Glyph just to be able to have a flex pick, basically, of spells to deal with any early aggression. Then you look at Pokrovac's hand, double Arcanite Reaper, Dread Corsair, and the other Corsair, the Naga one, is Corsair. And these are the games where Pirate Warrior doesn't, or potentially might not get a lot done.
It's a hell of a turn 5, Raven. If he's remembered to put Innovate in his deck, he'll be all right.
Druid jokes, yay! Everyone's favorite joke. But yeah, this is, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Shut down.
We know each other pretty well by now.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, Pirate Warrior has won, many, many games that look like these kind of opening hands, right? Because Arcanite Reaper's just 10 damage on its own. That's a lot.
One War Axe, one Frothing Berserker. Like, suddenly from Czech Republic's side of the board, you have a game, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough with our caster vision to beat double Doomsayer Arcanologist Primordial Glyph with a hand this bad. But from Czech Republic's position, they'll be like, okay, we just need a weapon, Azov's first mate, Fiery War Axe, that'll start bringing this all together. We're not in trouble yet, guys. We just drew a minion to play on turn 2. That'll do just fine. They're not out of this yet as far as they can see, but staring across the board, those 2 Doomsayers are going to be a nightmare for them to deal with.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we saw, yesterday, Nick Chipper beat double Doomsayer as Hunter, but that's Hunter, right? Like, our Pirate Warrior, as time has gone on, has gone more and more zoo-based, like kind of minion-reliant to a certain extent. And Doomsayer just shuts that down so hard. Already there's 3 damage on the board here for Czech Republic. And there needs to be, what, exactly Heroic Strike?
Yep. There would be
there could be Fire War.
There would be combinations of cards, but based on the hand that we see, where none of those cards contribute towards those, then it has to be exactly Heroic Strike off the top to answer.
This Fire War Axe isn't bad, though, because it means you can play something that doesn't die to Doomsayer and get the 2 charges out of the hand by the time you want to play a Reaper anyway.
Yes.
It's actually a pretty good draw.
Yeah, it works perfectly in terms of weapon management. It ties the hand together in terms of making things playable over the coming turns as well. As I said, one Fiery War Axe can bring this hand together very, very nicely, but it's not just a matter of how poor their opening was. Ukraine have so many power plays still to come from their hand.
Yeah, never mind what comes off Glyph, right? There's the guaranteed plays. You know, Archaeologist is a great minion for battling with those early Pirate Warrior minions.
Right.
And it's going to draw a secret, which, hey, you know, I've heard they're pretty good. But it's just the Glyph. Glyph could be Blizzard, could be Nova, could just be a 5-mana Flame Strike. There's so many opportunities to be able to just stop Team Czech Republic in their tracks playing this deck here. I gotta see, they are working out whether they actually want to swing. Weapon management is one of the hardest things to do as a Pirate Warrior. The second you miss a charge, use one too early, suddenly you have some blank turns, and that's not what you can deal with here. They did go with it, because, you know, just looking at the hand, you have 2 Arcanite Reapers. You probably want to swing twice, turn 3 and 4, then Arcanite Reaper on 5.
Yeah, and the Frost Nova draw now is huge because it's encouragement and it's indication to Ukraine that they are comfortable not having to use that second Doomsayer. They can just play for board for now, and they'll be able to answer any board state that gets developed with that Frost Nova Doomsayer as early as next turn if they feel they need to with the coin. So just front-loading Acolyte, if that tanks the War Axe charge, great. That is a huge win for Ukraine, especially as far as they can see, it's the last weapon charge. And any given last weapon charge of a Pirate Warrior weapon is worth its weight in gold if you can take it away from the opponent.
Yeah, and Team Czech here now, as you can see, nothing has happened during this turn. They are in deep discussion because now there are multiple options here. You can play Dread Corsair and the Cultist. It buffs your weapon to a 4/2 and puts some minion pressure on the board. Both minions actually trade very well with the Acolyte. Or you can just say Naga Corsair, do 1 extra damage this turn, then go Reaper, then go Cultist Dread Corsair and get a much stronger impact from that 1 weapon upgrade effect. But that's also going to be on turn 6. Like, is that too late? We're going to find out.
Ignoring the Acolyte, just sending the damage downtown.
Yep.
This is what we call just reading what your hand does. And this hand says smash your opponent in the face as hard and fast as you possibly can.
And also as well, because the minion's down, if Ukraine want to get value from this Acolyte, value meaning 2 or more draws.
Right.
Hero, so they're going to ping it. Great. You're playing this turn when I'm hitting you in the face repeatedly and you're spending half of your available mana to draw a card. Like, awesome. I will take that as the Pirate Warrior. So, again, we mentioned Czech Republic didn't have the best opening hand, but their draws since then have been very, very strong and are keeping them in this game.
And I said it, no need to panic, right? Like, the draws that can pull that hand together, they got several of them in a row. Fiery War Axe to start with, then the Bloodsail Cultist was huge as well, just to curve out this turn perfectly. It's amazing how quickly a bad hand can come together for Pirate Warrior because their game plan is so linear and their cards are so well congested in terms of doing one thing very, very well. Yeah. Your percentage of bad draws for more than 2 turns or so is almost non-existent. You're going to find something that
when you've drawn that much slow stuff as well, right? Yeah. There's got to be something next. Did go for the coin here from Ukraine to be able to go Doomsayer into Frost Nova, and this probably didn't even feel that great. They sort of save 6 damage and potentially clear the board, but the problem is they're definitely taking 4. Like 100% they're taking 4. That just happens.
That deck hand is mind-blowingly good right now.
To clear the Doomsayer with the Naga?
Yeah. What? That is insane. 5 attack War Axe going to come in here alongside the deck hand. Important that they remember their sequencing. I'm sure Stan Sivka was in the background just making that call, making sure it all happened in the right order. Attack with the deck hand first, then buff the weapon and attack with that so the deck hand doesn't lose charge.
Also as well, Pokrovac has a huge history in other card games. So he's got a card game background. I'm pretty sure sequencing he is on point himself too, because that's something that is involved in every single card game pretty much ever made. And now Nyria...
Where are your manners? Mouthful of banana and he's still calling the shots. Did your mother never teach you not to talk with your mouth full, Stan?
Not when he's calling the shots for Hearthstone.
Fair enough.
It's allowed.
The stakes are that high, I suppose. We'll let him off.
Well, you don't see behind the desk. He's just stacks and stacks of bananas.
Yep.
He's there, just reaches under. We don't have anything like that. It's a shame. It's going to be Nyria going for the Glyph, pretty much for a dream at this point. This looked so good for Team Ukraine early on.
It
looked so good. It's the hand you want against Pirate Warrior. It just wasn't enough, and we can see, you know, as you mentioned, double Arcanite Reaper, at least 5 more damage next turn.
Just have to do what they can. Just start fireballing away the minions piece by piece. No AoE available to them. Glyph now has fallen well below 50% in terms of getting a relevant AoE effect. During the Ungoro meta, it was around 49%. That didn't even include like Arcane Explosion, which can be relevant in some situations, but now more mage spells are added to the game. It's increasingly more and more likely as time goes, or sorry, less and less likely as time goes on, as more cards are released, that you get those particular options that you need from Glyph. So Glyph was a card that was heavily complained about early on, but it's a self-regulating card in terms of balance, because those huge high rolls that you're looking for get less likely as more cards join the expansion.
What's the likelihood of Ukraine using Fylan's portal at some point to get a taunt? So, did you do your homework from yesterday?
I did, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I thought you would.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's
Out of interest.
fallen to around 12.5% now.
Oh, okay.
1 in 8-ish.
Still worth it, right?
Yep.
Still going to keep you in games. Speaking of keeping them in games, mirror image, normally kind of what you want to see here, and it will just about... Oh, you won't be able to play a secret. Ooh, never mind. I thought you actually had one more mana.
Mirror image and pinging off the 2-1, though, means that two sources of damage have to go into the 0-2s, and only, as far as Ukraine can see right now, only the highest source of damage that Arcanite Reaper can connect with their face. But the Mortal Strike pickup is going to end the game. Czech Republic square it up after, honestly, the most abysmal opening hand with Pirate Warrior possible, but that Fiery War Axe came out and pulled it all together beautifully.
Yeah, the Pirate Warrior just got the job done, and we talked right at the beginning at how powerful Pirate Warrior is. Mage had a great hand there. Team Ukraine had a great hand. Double Doomsayer already, never mind Glyph and everything else that they had available, and it still wasn't enough to stop the damage.
Echoes and callbacks to yesterday, right, where the roles were reversed. An aggro deck against double Doomsayer. It was Nick Chipper on the Hunter who beat double Doomsayer, which looked like it should have blown out his deck completely. Now the roles are reversed. Czech Republic squared up with the aggro deck against Ukraine's double Doomsayer from the control deck. It just goes to show how oppressive some of those aggro draws can be.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and I kind of like that aggro is still just easily viable. It's not just gone out the window. I think a lot of people saw a lot of Knights of the Frozen Throne cards, and these are all control cards, but it's the aggro decks are still knocking around. So as the players are just going to set up and get ready for the next series, we are just going to step away for a second. We will be right back. And we are back, ready to get into the next game of this grand finals. It's going to be CzechCloud versus Nick Chipper, but most importantly, it's Team Czech Republic versus Team Ukraine, and it's 1-1, all even.
Here you see the story of the match so far. Kalento getting out to the early lead for Ukraine, but Krovac squaring it up for Czech Republic. Those were the pilots. Of course, each game is a team effort, though, and that might come in important for CzechCloud in this coming matchup, as he will be playing Shaman against Nick Chipper's Priest and not the Hunter Raven. We'll touch on that in a second. But CzechCloud, when we spoke to him, said that he feels he is, by some distance, the weakest player on the team. So he really appreciates the feedback that he gets over comms from the rest of the players.
Yeah, and I also think as well, you know, for him saying that, one, I think he's quite modest. I think CzechCloud's actually very good.
I agree.
And also, when you're the weakest on a team of superstars, you're still pretty good, you know, by default, never mind knowing how good he is.
Do we have to call Nick Chipper the weakest player on Team Ukraine? We probably do, but look at the other three. A World Championship runner-up, Naria, the most consistent player of 2017 in terms of competitive Hearthstone, and Kalento, perhaps the most consistent player of all time in terms of competitive Hearthstone.
I'm probably not going to argue with that.
Yeah.
Not going to argue. So the players are getting ready to go into this game, though. Nick Chipper, as we mentioned, is going to be on the Priest, and depending on how well you've kept up with Hearthstone Global Games so far, Nick Chipper is a Hunter Master, and I appreciate that very much. But he has also been pairing it with Priest pretty often in Global Games so far, and he is going to be bringing what it looks like now. We can see it's going to be the Raza / Kazaka / Reno without Reno Priest, and this is an awesome list because the Death Knight form of Anduin, Shadow Reaper Anduin, basically when it's played, it kills all minions with 5 attack or more that are on the board. But then the hero power becomes deal 2 damage, like mages, but deal 2. But it refreshes every single time you play a card. So you hero power, play a card, hero power, play a card.
Right.
You combine that with Raza, which is why we see it kept.
Auto keep in every match.
Yeah, you combine that with Raza's ability to make a hero power cost 0. And people have called this Machine Gun Priest before. You can do absurd amount of damage with some cheap cards, some cheap spells, for example, in this list, once you've got Raza and Shadow Reaper Anduin going. And also, even just the free heals from Raza might be enough, especially when it's going up against the Shaman of Czech Republic.
And you do have to pay attention with this deck, because the ease with which you can miss a hero power, either like right at the start of your turn or in between 2 cards that are part of the same combo that you mentally pair together, the ability to miss one of your 0-mana hero powers is enormous.
Or even just play the first
Raven,
card.
I have a game for you if you're down. Every missed hero power, $10 to a charity. You match me?
I wonder.
Sure.
All right, let's do it. It's because I'm relatively confident there's going to be 0. Because these are the best players in the world, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Easy bet.
If it was a discussion about how often I miss hero powers, then I'd be scared. I don't want that. I don't want that information public. Yeah. But it's going to be starting off. No patches in the hand here for Team Czech Republic. They pull it straight out of the deck, and that's one less card in the deck, which dramatically increases the value of the cards drawn from now. Also, as well, we've not really discussed anything here that's sticking out a little bit. There's an additional pirate.
There is. There is indeed.
Where did that guy come from? They can't play Pirate Warrior again. Pirate Shaman, go.
They went into their collection, they searched Southsea Captain, and they clicked on it. That's where it came from.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the answer. I appreciate it.
It's the high-level analysis that I provide.
Correct.
But again, let's go back to the serious point. A lot of pressure has been heaped on Stan Sivka. He was responsible for the deck building, he's responsible for leading the play as well. And Ukraine made the comment that sometimes his deck building is a little bit too wacky and it can get him into trouble. And that the only reason why these Stan Sivka decks work for Stan Sivka and why he's able to win tournaments with Bloodbloom Warlock, for example, in Ongoro, is because he is a phenomenal player. He's actually, from Ukraine's side of things, they think he's disadvantaging himself a little bit by playing these slightly weaker decks, but his incredible play and his fantastic intelligence when it comes to this game are carrying him through.
Yeah, pretty much taking the approach of you are really good at the game, that is not a question. Imagine if you were playing real decks, you know, then you'll be even better. But we'll see how it turns out now. This does appear to be more of a cycle-heavy version, which has been favored by a lot of the players from a priest side, should I say. And this potentially even includes Prophet Velen.
Yeah, we're leaning towards the RDU list is what we're talking about, right? He built a very cycle-heavy list that really focuses on late-game damage between Velen dealing damage as well as the zero-mana hero power machine gun effect. There are so many extra cheap spells, one-mana spells in RDU's version of the deck that even with the dominance of Jade Druid now, he's choosing not to play Skulking Geist because he values his own one-mana spells higher than destroying Jade Idols.
Yeah, a lot of the time versus that matchup, you actually just kill the Jades once with Anduin and then hero power new ones down. You can do it that fast. But getting back to this game, you see a lot of discussion go on between these teams, and it's something else that Team Czech mentioned to us is that they have till the rope burns. They may as well discuss things. You know, discussion in like that, the heat of a moment is very difficult. But while you know you've got a pretty relaxed turn, you can be like, yeah, let's just chat about how we think the game's about to go, what the plan for the next couple of turns, and see what happens.
There is, of course, that wonderful life coach quote that I can never get out of my head, where he said, well, you know, if you make the best play in 75 seconds, that's the best you can do. If you make the same best play in 10 seconds, it's not like they're going to give you an A for it. That's amazing.
It is pretty good. Now the South Sea captain, though, we'll see what Team Ukraine think of this, because this is something you're actually not used to dealing with. Against Shaman. Like, South Sea Captain is not a standard, and the fact that they got the Corsair into Captain is kind of amazing for Team Czech Republic here. Shadow Word Horror is available next turn, but fortunately for Team Ukraine, that does not deal with the Captain. There's my bro, Shadow Reaper doing my favorite Death Knight from the set. So much fun, recommend crafting it.
Stylistically inspired by Frodan, if you weren't aware. That's Frodan's tribute card in the new set.
I got a bird.
You did?
Literally. I got two, though.
Still waiting for mine.
I got two.
It's true.
Yours was Possessed Villager, wasn't it?
Was it? Explain.
I don't know, I just thought it was the weirdest looking one.
All right, thanks.
Weirdest looking humanoid style, at least. It'd be funny if they were like, no, sorry, you've got one. Ragnaros. Like, what?
I wonder.
Got nothing to do with anything.
Just spiraled down the rabbit hole, Ray. At the best of times, I don't know what you're talking about, but now I'm completely lost.
Well, sometimes I like to just go down there, get as far away from you as possible.
Argent Squire as well. As we get back to the game of Hearthstone that's actually being played, Argent Squire, South Sea Captain, again, the prophecy of CzechCloud, where he said their decks were very much off the wall, is starting to come more true on day 2 than it was on day 1. And again, that dynamic of the Stan Cifka deck building decisions. Czech Republic, after having play tested all these decks that Stan put together, were very happy with them. They said they were delighted with the work that he'd done, really improved their win rate overall. But so different from the standard list that we're already starting to see develop in Knights of the Frozen Throne.
Yeah, Priest of the Feast is a good response to this board, though, because it technically challenges both. And at the moment, the Evolve Shaman outside of Devolve don't really play any hard removal. You know, they're not playing Hex, right? I mean, maybe there's a Hex in the deck, great, but generally they're not. So if this is a Jade Lightning trade, well, there goes the South Sea Captain, right? And suddenly the Jade, the Totem, a Shadow Word Horrible. Shadow Word Horrible. Shadow Word
Horrible.
Horrible.
Yes.
Yeah, so, you know, the board is much more open to the removal that's available here for Nick Chipper. He's going to go for the Devolve.
Potentially.
Okay, that worked out really well.
I really like this decision because it, on such a high percentage of occasions, protects your Mana Tide Totem. You're hitting a 3-drop and you need to be able to kill that 3-drop with a 3/3. That happens very, very often, and that means that Mana Tide Totem, which is a value engine that can compete with any value engine in the game. It doesn't matter how greedy your deck is. If you're up against a Mana Tide Totem that you can't kill, you get yourself in trouble.
New card number 5 or whatever in this deck so far. Grim Necromancer is another card you're not used to seeing probably in Evolved Shaman. Maybe I've seen some people play it in Token Druid actually. But yeah, good job production team. 4 mana 2/4, summons 2 1/1, so not too difficult to see why this is in the deck. 4-drop into a 5-drop, although isn't normally amazing. It's a 4-drop 2/4 into a 5-drop, so that actually makes it a little bit more better for the Evolve.
Yeah.
And also just more tokens on the board, more tokens.
I confess, I don't know. Do the 1/1s, do they cost 0 or 1? Because I can see it working either way.
I think 1.
Okay. So a couple of 2-drops, a couple of 2/2s to go along with the 5-drop that you get out of that. Yeah, not bad at all. You take that every day.
I think they're the same skeletons that come off the rogue card, the Baron dude.
Okay, makes
I believe.
Makes sense. All right.
If not inefficient. Raza is down now, though, and that means that Ukraine, no matter what happens every turn until they die, they can hero power at least once every single turn to heal.
Yeah, and you see the level of power that Raza gives you moving forward, like it is just your #1 priority in 99% of occasions to play Raza on 5 if it's available to you. Still, the option to deal with that Manatide Totem was there for them if they really, really wanted to, but they're just going to let that thing draw cards and feel comfortable that since they've already drawn the Raza and Shadow Reaper Anduin combination, that they can contest the value the Manatide will get.
Yeah, there'll be a bit of a dance going on now in terms of if the evolves are drawn, or if Thrall is drawn. The dance around, if I evolve and he has Shadow Reaper Anduin, when do I evolve, right? Do I want minions that are generally higher attack? Because it means Anduin's going to take them all out.
Sea Giant plays nice with some of these tech decisions that we've seen as the Shadow Word Horror that was almost inevitable that turn does come down. The Sea Giant, of course, Argent Squire is a very sticky minion, hard to get off the board and will discount your Sea Giant. And Grim Necromancer is a 3-for-1 minion that is going to discount your Sea Giant by 3 for the cost of 1 card. So you start to see the synergy of these kind of wacky inclusions that we're seeing from the Czech Republic. The decks do make sense. You can't argue the philosophy behind them. Yeah. Even Stormwatcher and Paladin, like when it was explained to me, or well, it's like, okay, I can see why you are doing that. I don't necessarily agree that's the highest win rate way to build it, but you have thought process
There's a logic,
behind it.
yeah, it's
you
logical.
have thought this through and you have clearly tested it.
Okay, Crystalline Oracle coming off the Maelstrom is a bit of a value card as well. It's going to be even more cards in hand for Team Czech Republic. Kazakus is a great card against this kind of deck as well. How often have we seen Kazakus played in the hopes of that 4 damage AoE effect?
It feels like roughly 73,212 times. In the expansion where Kazakus and Reno were together, oh, there were some tilting games, Raven.
Yeah, Kazakus was mainly used to get you to turn 6.
Exactly, yeah.
And then game.
Kazakus on its own, not quite the same power level, and of course we've lost Bran as well, which is another thing that stops Kazakus being the ultimate late game win condition that it used to be as well, where in the aggro matchups, as you said, your Kazakus was there to get you to your Reno. In the control matchups, you went Bran Kazakus, you got 2 massive potions, you had tried to outvalue the opponent. Now, Kazakus is just chilling on his own. A lot of his friends have deserted him. He's just got to find answers single-handedly.
Yeah, 4 damage was available there. I'll be quite shocked if it wasn't picked, is red. So we'll get a look at that potion in a second. But the 4 damage is almost a guaranteed clear. Yeah, 4 damage, summon a 5/5 demon is the potion. And it's almost a guaranteed board clear outside of the Doppelgangster Evolve from Shaman, right? It kills pretty much everything else in the deck.
Yeah, and thing from below, Sea Giants, if you're expecting those kind of things to come down, well, your Shadow Reaper deals with them anyway. So now you have both bases covered.
And there's still Holy Nova. There's still a chance that there's Thanos in the deck as well for some spell damage on that Nova.
Sure. It's another cheap card that you can play and fire off a 0-mana hero power afterwards, plus it then draws you another card that you can then use to refresh your hero power on the next turn. So there is some built-in synergy to Blood Mage Thanos within this deck.
This thing from below now is 0 mana after all these totems have been played. And because of these 2 Manatides, Team Czech Republic have actually been at no shortage of resources in hand all game. But I genuinely think Team Ukraine were just thinking there's no great way to deal with this because we'd rather develop. And so what if we draw cards, right? We have AoE ready. It's not like they do this and then they have Bloodlust available and we can't do something against that. Even Nova deals with, what, 2 of these minions and makes Bloodlust a lot less scary. They have the potion to wipe the board if they want to. Potion Smite is actually pretty fine here. You save the Shadow Word Death, and you gain a 5/5 on an empty board.
How greedy are you for that value? There's multiple sources of value you can get from Holy Smite here, actually. First and foremost, with the refreshed Anduin hero power as a 1-mana card. Secondly, you just drew Lyra, and it's a cheap spell that you can chain off that. Like, is killing a 5/5 really worth it? That's a really high-value card to you right now.
Yeah, you could hold on to it. There's the whole idea of, do you even need to hold onto it, right? Because if you look at the way the hand looks now, Death is going to kill any 1 large threat. Shadow Reaper kills the board that is developed of large threats, then the hero power kills anything it wants every turn, to be honest. You can normally, unless for some reason you're so dry on cards you can't play more than one a turn, then normally you can like kill any 1 to 2 minions.
Well, look at what you're able to do next turn if you don't Holy Smite the 5-1 this turn, right? The 5-1 hits you, you take 5. Great, no big deal. Next turn, your Shadow Reaper kills it anyway. Then you have a damage hero power, then a Holy Smite, then a damage hero power again to use as removal on a following turn. He's going the other way round though. He's just going to jam the Shadow Reaper right now and use that as an initial board clear and now queue up all of these removal spells on the following turn to answer the board the other way around. This is kind of the same sequence of 2 plays I was suggesting, but in reverse.
Yep, still gets the same job done. He's still represented with roughly the same amount of damage. So he's still going to take the same. He can still guarantee a clear. This time, can maybe get a little bit more done because this opens up just more hero powers because he used less cards to get the job done to get to Shadow Reaper Anduin.
18 damage with Bloodlust right now. I believe 12 from the Lust itself, 6 more being represented on board. 2 Bloodlusts are in hand, so it's not like you're throwing away your ultimate win condition if you use the Bloodlust. You do have the backup available, and you know, time after time, turn after turn, now your board is going to get picked away by this Shadow Reaper Anduin hero power.
Yeah, and I would say if they were currently on turn 9, you would just go crazy on the board and then double Bloodlust and just end it.
I can see that,
yeah.
sure.
But 2 turns worth of hero powers from Anduin, I think that's a little bit too much, especially when it's not as if there's a shortage of cards. It's going to develop normally, maybe trying to build up for a Bloodlust, maybe trying to, you know, see what else is in Team Ukraine's hand at the moment. Oh. Okay, yeah, they're going all in. Okay.
I mean, you can't fault them, right, for thinking this board will stick around even through the hero power. It just so happens that the combination of removal spells and the hero power from Ukraine here is going to answer this board state so perfectly.
Yeah, Shadow Reaper Anduin, I said, was my favorite Death Knight. You're about to find out why, because this just gets insane once he's played. So insane, it's going to launch off a volcano.
Ah, of course, the alternate way to clear the board that I hadn't thought of. You just activate the volcano and that nukes all the minions for you.
And all the lava comes off the board and there goes the minions. Only joking, that would be overpowered.
Gotta go. You don't want to be doing this turn while the rope starts. Yeah, I think this is perfect course of action from Ukraine. They talked about it, made sure they had all the mechanics down first and foremost, but they did not allow the rope to appear before they started acting because the animations do get in your way while you're trying to make these turns happen.
Yeah, a little bit. Especially, it's mainly the hero power, right? It has to flick back again and then you go again.
Exactly.
Yeah, again, this was just a different order of turns that led to the same outcome, vice versa. But now, I mean, what threats does CzechCloud have left? You'd imagine doppelgangsters, but something does have to be cut. You would imagine Thrall, but maybe not. Maybe this is just more token focused, and if you're going more token focused, you don't want Thrall having the hero power change, but there is a Doom Guard that can either clear up this 5-5 on the board, put itself at 2, which is Anduin range of just 1 hero power hit, which you know is coming, or you can just start to push Faith.
I feel like the trade is actively detrimental. Yeah, you just lose your Doom Guard, whereas right now you're asking for something extra to be able to deal with the Frostwolf Grunt before the 5-5 and the 5-7 can contest each other.
And even then, the trade happens for you instead of you doing the trade, right? Yeah. You literally net 5 damage. Okay.
Well.
Little time.
Wonder if that was intentional. Whether they said, hey, if a taunt minion spawns here, we want to kill it, so we're not going to attack first.
Probably, yeah. There aren't any taunt minions that are going to be super high attack that'll just do worse damage to the Doom Guard, right?
Nope.
Okay, now Lyra is going to come down to play, and here we go. Already 2 hero powers used, and this is going to be able to be a 3rd. So now, not only clearing the board, but pushing damage to face, and double Bloodlust in hand. Maelstrom, not what Czech Republic want to see. I imagine we're going to see maybe 1 or 2 more turns to see what they're going to draw, but until now, it's not looking too great for Team Czech Republic.
Purify makes an appearance in the Hearthstone Global Games finals. There is a smile of glee across Ben Brode's face right now. He was right all along. He nods at me from the crowd.
Hero Power's now just going to start piling on the damage, and this is just Team Ukraine just saying, look, we've got the cards, we're in such a strong position, look at all these Hero Powers, and is that just going to be lethal? I think with the Lyra attack? It's probably right.
Circle healing down to 3, he needs to get a bunch more. Yeah, he's good, he's good.
Shadow Visions is only going to help things. So if you like doing crazy things like this, you should definitely get hold of Shadow Reaper Anduin. He's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think he needs help from the Shadow Visions or the Lyra, just giving him some fuel to keep on going here. But this game is well and truly over.
This is one turn. This is only one turn.
Are you keeping track? Did he miss any, by the way?
No.
Okay.
Nick Chipper doesn't miss damage, especially when it's to face. And he does end this game in an aggressive manner. He likes the way he likes to play anyway. Even just one casual one to the Doomsayer. Wants to keep the chain going. He's already left the seat though. And Team Ukraine are going to go up 2-1 versus Team Czech Republic.
He finished that game with the power of his mind. Not only is Nick Chipper a Smork master, he is also provably telekinetic.
Yeah, he just was like, right, game's already done in my mind. I'm going to walk away, sit down, get comfortable, let the game play itself out. And that generally is the power of that kind of deck. And we saw how important that Raza keep is. If he threw Raza, I'll get to it, and just bottom 10 cards, bottom 12 cards,
right?
Well, that doesn't happen. And then maybe that's enough time for Czech Republic to battle back or not get the minions cleared as easily, because we saw multiple times the minions just obliterate as soon as those hero powers start piling up.
Yeah, that deck is oppressive when it gets Raza on 5. It's so difficult to beat from that point, especially if it has the Anduin on 8 to go alongside that, because that just neutralizes your pressure so heavily. Bone Mare, one of the most powerful cards in the set, I think is one of the reasons why we're seeing that Priest deck have so much effect, because think about what happens when a Bone Mare hits the board.
Yeah.
There's a 5-5 and then it buffs something else up to being bigger than a 5-5, and then Shadow Reaper Anduin just says, nope, I'm putting a stop to that. It's my game now.
Yeah, truly love that deck. But now the score is 2-1 to Team Ukraine. You're going to be getting ready for the next game that's coming up very, very soon, so don't go anywhere. are back and ready to go. And to continue this grand final, it's going to be Stan Sivka for Czech Republic going up against Dr. Hippie for Ukraine. Stan Sivka, pretty much the driving force behind this team. Been put together a lot of the decks and makes the shot, it calls the shot, sorry, in this team for Czech Republic. So there's a lot of respect within the team. Everyone who's seen Stan Sivka play has a lot of respect for him. Now he's going to be going up against the might of Team Ukraine. Dr. Hippie piloting the Paladin and Stan Sivka on his Warlock.
Yeah, we saw these decks, both of these decks yesterday from these teams. It is a Murloc Paladin from the Ukraine, and it is also, no, sorry, we didn't see the Warlock yesterday from the Czech Republic, in fact.
Yeah, we didn't see it, right?
No. It's a complete mystery. Blood Bloom. Blood Bloom could be back.
I just want to see Gul'dan.
One thing I do want to touch on very, very quickly, though, is I didn't catch that the Hunter was the non-picked class in the previous series for Czech Republic. And they were very excited about their Hunter deck. And I was quite a big fan of what they told me they'd done with it. I actually don't necessarily want to reveal what their plan was, unless one of them wants to use it in a future tournament or something, and use it as a silver bullet in that regard. But it was a very, very creative idea, and I was looking forward to see whether it would pan out. I will say, looking at the classes it would have come up against, I can see why they did not choose to select the Hunter, if I can remain just a little bit cryptic.
Just a little bit. Well, let's get into game number 4. Stan Sivka on his Warlock. We can already tell you right now that is the only 4-drop you are going to see in the whole deck, whereas Dr. Hippie is on this Murloc Paladin. Bone Mare being quite the scary minion late game. But it's going to be if he actually makes it that far. Defile, very, very strong. Even Voidwalker into Doomsayer as the opening here for Czech Republic will lock out one of those, 1, 2, 3 Murloc aggressive openings that the deck is known for.
We see Consecration is being played for Ukraine, though. I don't have confirmation that Czech Republic weren't playing Consecration, but you like it? You like it? Yeah.
Well, I want to carry on. I want to hear the rest of the bars.
No,
Come on.
It wasn't there. It wasn't there. It was done. But it's highly suspicious when you have that much board dominance and buff tactics in your deck. It seems very suspicious that you are going to be leaving Consecration by the wayside.
Yeah. Second Voidwalker as well. Just guarantees Sivka's not going to get run over early on. But what is the late game plan? I'm always excited to see Sivka's Warlock. I think that was one of the classes he's had, more sort of crazy lists for. Right. One of the classes he leans towards almost every expansion to try and make something happen.
Yeah.
And I know he's great handlock player. He loved that back in the day. So we'll see what it ends up with here. These seem pretty standard, like sort of, I'll call it control Warlock style, but these are the key cards you want in every single version.
Yeah, I mean, we saw very, very early, the very first tournament of the Ungoro expansion was an invitational that Life Coach held, I believe. I think there were open qualifiers as well. I don't think calling it an invitational is fair, but Stan Sivka took that by storm with the Blood Doom version of Warlock, where it was Blood Bloom being used to just cast Doom and twisting Nether as early as humanly possible, clearing out huge boards, and then basically every card in the deck was just small incremental amounts of healing to mitigate that. It was an incredibly creative idea that really didn't catch on with anyone else, but Stan Sivka had success with it, and it goes back to exactly what Ukraine told us when they expressed their opinion on Stan Sivka's deck building. They said he's too good. Like, no one else can have success with his decks because those decks aren't optimal, but he's so good at the game that he can just play these decks and convince himself they're the best because he's winning with them.
Yeah. It's a big difference. I'm pretty sure a lot of people tried to play Sivka's homebrews, and it just doesn't work out. We'll see. It is Sivka in the pilot seat at the moment, so he's going to be driving this game, and it's his deck as well. So if there's ever a moment we're going to see special things happen with this Warlock, it's right now.
A lot of animation from Nick Chipper right now. We did hear that Nick and Dr. Hippie are kind of the quieter two on the team, but definitely getting heavily involved in this play, feels very strongly about whatever he thinks his line should be.
We should have drawn a 1-mana Murloc. I told you to mulligan for a 1-mana Murloc, and we didn't get it.
Why is this not a Grimscale job?
Flips the table, walks off. They did, we didn't really mention it, but not playing the Protector on 1 to just get gobbled up by the Voidwalker is a little bit frustrating, because Protector is actually just a great card to hide your other minions behind, early game. It's very difficult to clear up. Useful late game still, so it's not like it's not going to have any use whatsoever, but to just pass turn 1 when you have a 1-drop as a deck that wants to curve out, just because your opponent played a Voidwalker never feels great.
Yeah, I think the big deal for Righteous Protector early game is in other matchups that contest the board heavily. Pirate Warrior is the one that can chew it up very quickly with N'Zoth's first mate if they hit that. But otherwise, it's taking a source of multiple attacks, and then you hide a Vilefin Inquisitor, you hide a Murloc Tidecaller behind that, and then you create your buff platform to snowball against another aggressive deck. Against a slower control deck like this, I do think it has more value as a late game target for a buff effect.
Or even just a blocker.
Sure, yeah.
Like, that can actually... Sometimes 7/7s have to go into that 1/1 and still don't kill it, right?
Yeah, who knows what the minion base for Stan Sivka's deck here, but that 1/1 could end up tanking a Mountain Giant, for example.
Hydrologist can be played and use the secret that comes out as well, but not going to be too great with the Doomsayer. This might just have to be a nod from Ukraine and say, okay, you win this round.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing they can do to this Doomsayer, and the fact that it's behind the Voidwalker as well means that they can't even really push for any damage. Nothing really gets there. They do have a reasonable follow-up though, because suddenly Hydrologist into Redemption, into Protector, can create a base to build the War Leader on and to work towards that way. You know, maybe War Leader, then you look at either Tarim or the Megasaur to help buff the minions.
Right.
There is a plan after this Doomsayer for Team Ukraine. Or they could throw that out the window and just play it now anyway and get the secret.
I thought that's what you were talking about. Just make it happen right now.
Yeah, I mean, both ways you could do about it, but they get the minion anyway, right? So they just, because the Doomsayer goes off on Czech Republic's turn, the Redemption will go off and keep some
I thought this
pressure.
is what you meant the entire time. I think this is absolutely the right play because your entire hand makeup right now is based on buffing Murlocs. You have Megasaur and War Leader, which are only two valuable options. So making sure you stick this 2/1 to the board and making your opponent have Mortal Coil at best for them, but sometimes they'll be forced to throw out a much more premium removal to deny you starting to snowball your Murloc board.
Yeah, there is an option to do that turn now. So you do that and the Hydrologist now and use the secret, then go one turn slower. Because the slight risk is if you don't get Redemption, then you kind of just throw it. Don't get me wrong, I agree. It's just that there is a risk. So you could take it a little bit slower, but to be honest, Murloc Paladin doesn't want to go slowly. If you can say you can do all of that one turn faster, they will take that every single time. I don't know, we start to see I've got to try really hard to not call the Lich King Arthas, because that's literally how I see him playing through Warcraft 3 and World of Warcraft. It's just, it's Arthas. It's like, no. The Lich King is in hand for Stan Sivka and a Tar Creeper as well, so it's got plenty of defensive capabilities as we move through towards the mid part of this game here. Just going to be a crab, not the right one. He wants at least.
Yeah, it does make you wonder though. Quite often, particularly in very heavy control decks where one crab shows its face, the other does as well, especially for a tournament lineup like this where you're really not sure what you're expecting to play against. But probably both Pirates and Murlocs in some regard is something you'd be looking at. So it does make you wonder whether there is a hungry crab chilling in this build from Stan Sivka as well.
Yeah, it really wouldn't surprise me, especially we've seen two Doomsayers, right? So it is not one-ups in the list. So we can rule out Kazakus, Cruel, for example. We can rule all those out. This is a 2-of, so it's much more just standard control-based. Now the War Leader is hidden, but still susceptible to Shadow Bolt and to other removals as well.
Perfect timing, by the way, for the Righteous Protector, because now there is Coin Spike Ridge Steed available. This is exactly what I was talking about. They had a 1-mana card in their hand. I'm sure people are looking at it, well, you just play the 1-drop on 1. That's how you play Hearthstone, right? No, they're saving it here. No. They find more value from it later on, using that Divine Shield to get more value out of a buff in the late game.
The Voidwalker was the sticking point.
For sure as well, right? Honestly, I think there's merit on passing it on an open board.
Oh, really?
Even.
Okay. Against Warlock? I just want to kill Warlock because the heals often act
Does a 1/1 kill them?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
30 turns later, that 1/1's won.
Fair enough.
Game.
Can't argue, that's just maths.
It does just add up. And there's your best friend. What's the name of the card, Sol?
Despicable Dreadlord, Raven.
How many weeks has the expansion been in?
Quite a few. Dude, I'm so bad at card decks. It took me like 2 months to remember what Medivh's Ballet was called in Angora. Yeah.
We get there eventually, and that's all that matters. The follow-up now, though, instead of the Spike Ridge, it doesn't do anything to the Doomsayer. Suddenly this Tarim plus the Divine Shield trade means that this board is still dangerous, and there can still now be a Steed next turn as well.
Yes.
And then a boom.
The Doomsayer, I mean, that was a great little back and forth exchange between these two fantastic teams because Czech Republic recognized what that Righteous Protector timing was all about, and they made the play that denied Spike Ridge Steed and stopped the board being taken care of by the Doomsayer, but there was the 1-2 punch of either Spike Ridge Steed or, in this case, Sunkeeper Tarim coming out instead, and Tarim dealt with the Doomsayer perfectly in that scenario.
I wonder if, because the way I look at this hand for Czech Republic, they have to get to Twisted Nether.
Yes.
Or clear the board before that, right?
If Abyssal Enforcer is good enough, great.
Yeah, sure.
But otherwise, you need to be planning
I
for
wonder
Nether,
how good
agree.
Dreadlord is this turn to set up a kind of Defile.
A kind of
well,
Defile.
Potentially a Defile. Because Dreadlord...
Something like a Defile.
Dreadlord sets them to 2.
Yes.
Right, so they need still needs to do the 1 to kill a minion, but the second he draws either spell damage or there's a hero power played from Ukraine, maybe Ukraine actually don't even play the hero power because of Defile, this at least says maybe we get there.
Fair.
Because if they can clear without having to wait for turn 8, great. That's like, as we were talking in turns earlier, if Paladin gets slowed down by a turn, that's actually huge for the other deck.
Feels like Spike Ridge time to me. It's just a question of where you're putting it.
I think the War Leader. You're edging into turn 7 anyway, so Abyssal Enforcer is a threat.
Yes.
Hellfire's always a threat.
Yes.
The War Leader is the most valuable card on the board at the moment.
Demon Wrath is also a card. Much more fringe than the cards that you mentioned, but...
Demon Wrath?
Is it rotated out?
I think so.
I was playing Wild against the Lich King earlier. I may have just debated myself.
Excuses.
Yeah.
Well, there's the Drain Soul.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to go on the War Leader, just the most valuable minion, especially when there's no, redemptions or whatever on the board, because then you can think about Protector, or if there's Kodo, then you can think about, when do you want Tarim to die? But no, the War Leader is just the most valuable. You need it live on the board to have its effect work with the other Murlocs. And now Sifka has to think about how he deals with this. This also means that any given Abyssal Enforcer only deals with 1 minion on this board. It's just not good enough. You deal more damage to yourself than you really remove off the board.
I mean, you have to get somewhere, though. You need to contest. You can't just start trying to Twisting Nether this board away, because it still remains a 2-6 behind it. There will still be a platform for, say, a Bone Mare to come down, and those two sources of attacks over the 2 turns can just end up ending the game. You might not have time to Nether this game.
Also, as well, Tar Creeper just doesn't do anything because it dies. Like, it just gets cleaned out like pretty quickly, pretty easily, and then there's more minions on the board. So at least the Abyssal is going to get some kind of trades either on this turn or the next turn if it's removed.
Hydrologist here holding back the Bone Mare for now. Bone Mare doesn't really make any particularly nice trades happen. It just mashes damage to face, at which point they can still get blown out by Twisting Nether. This deck is very aggressive, but it needs to keep a board state at all times. It cannot do huge amounts of damage from hand, especially if it doesn't have a handful of weapons.
Suddenly now with Bone Mare in hand, the summon 2/1/1 plant seems good to me. And there's still the Noble Sacrifice in hand to block out the attack from the Abyssal Enforcer. I was just saying, at least the Abyssal kills something next turn. Well, now it doesn't.
This is fine. This is absolutely fine as well. If the play does come out, there's no real need to play around Twisting Nether because you have lethal through Twisting Nether this turn. So taking the option of Siphon Soul and other great options away as well is just as valid in this position.
100%. This Spyro is just getting some work. Now Stan Sifka and Team Czech Republic really have to think about what this secret could be, if there's a way to play around it.
So many possibilities.
Again, look at the health just not quite adding up for Defile.
Get down!
Must be very frustrating.
Defile is a wonderful card. It's one of my favorite cards of getting printed because you do have to work to set it up, especially if from the other side your opponents are keeping it in mind and playing around it themselves. It's a card with an enormous skill cap on both sides of the board, which is something that I love to see in Hearthstone.
Yeah, and that, we saw the Twisting Nether. There wasn't many other options at all for
Did
Team
I
Czech
mention
Republic.
that they had lethal through Twisting Nether, Raven?
You did!
It turns out they do.
Yes, the math still adds up. If, in fact, they used all their mana on that one spell, the health totals don't change.
It's +4/+4.
Oh,
I wanted you to bail me out.
Why did I? Why? Oh, so baited. This is why I should never just sit and trust you.
I know.
I actually didn't even look at the Bone Mare. I was just like, oh yeah, I mean, salt.
So actually, like rewinding all the way back, like actually
damage.
Plants over can't be targeted. Puts them in a position where they have extra 1/1s on the board potentially, right?
Yes. Told you, plants.
tough call.
I don't know. I thought plants was good.
You did call it straight away. You're not even saying that with hindsight here. You said straight away that plants seem to be the tool to get you
mainly
through.
because there was struggling to remove the board from Team Czech most of the game, right? Hellfire wasn't around, clearly, because it would have been used turns ago. Then there's just the, the Abyssal Enforcer was never getting there.
Right.
So that's a desperation play.
Right.
So suddenly, like, what happens next turn on 8 that can potentially cause a problem? Well, if they twist in, then fine. I have, would it have been 3 plants on the board?
Well, I mean, the Abyssal Enforcer still can't attack. It was 2 Murlocs that were getting buffed, right?
So they would have just, they would have had 4.
Yeah, the Abyssal Enforcer still has to interact with the Noble Sacrifice no matter what happens.
Yeah, so the Abyssal Enforcer soaks the damage anyway, and then there's 4 plants left on the board. And, okay, this will be the greatest comeback in the history of the world. If Sivka wins this game on 1, somehow. Oh, imagine if he just rips Skull down.
After we declared Czech Republic already dead.
I just agreed.
You definitely did agree.
I
gave you the chance for glory as well, and I realized.
This is what I get for trusting you. This is what I get for trusting you.
I know.
Poisonous can get through any taunts that are put in the way. +3 health is less susceptible to AoE damage. And then stealth, I actually don't think stealth does anything at this point. There are no minions to trade into on the board anyway.
I love the poison here. I love the poison. The one thing they're now scared of is big taunts. They don't have power to push through. The Tarim's gone, the buffs are gone. They don't have ways to clear through any big taunt minions that come down. So the poisonous is that job for them. They only need a slight tickle to face to end this. So as long as they have the right number of attacks to push through with these poison minions.
Can survive though. It's Defile, Shadow Bolt, Tar Creeper. I am relatively.
Is it happening?
I'm relatively. I'm relatively
Raven?
Unbiased, right, in this final. I'll be completely honest. I actually wanted South Korea to win. If South Korea was in this final, I would be biased, and that's fine. But they're not. So I'm pretty unbiased. But if Sivka wins this game, it will be amazing. He is still in it, and what you have to look at is, yes, he's on 1 health, but Hippie's on pretty much no cards, and suddenly, if he stabilizes a little bit this turn, Lich King can come down the turn after, and then things can start to get a little bit funky. What if Death Coil he's got from Lich King, which is a heal 5 or deal 5?
Remember the mulligan though, we saw that Ukraine are playing Consecration, a card that we suspect the Czech Republic themselves cut out. Stonehill Defender is not what they're looking for. They need to find a way to push over the line before Czech Republic can stabilize it.
Is it like an intake of breath as Stonehill Defender was drawn? I think I would have done that regardless.
Any Hearthstone card, yeah. Yeah. The question
though is nice. This Divine Shield is huge.
Yep, absolutely enormous. The question gets asked yet again, and now there is that poison minion hidden behind this wall of taunt, but the Mortal Coil denies it, and now the Lich King keeps them alive.
Lich King is badass enough to keep you alive at this point.
Mistress as well! It's happening, Raven.
It actually is, which is a little bit scary, because we talked about Consecrate. If Sivka can get this Mistress of Mixtures off, it means he does go above the Consecrate range, and with a Taunt minion in play, guess what? Paladin doesn't have much to get there. Army of the Dead, there we go. Could be pretty huge as well, just to build a board that then on the backswing starts beating up Ukraine, and just maybe 2-turn, 3-turn lethal at this point.
I think Czech Republic are heavily favored from this position.
The light dims, but we...
With the Mistress of Mixtures just giving them the extra tool, Army of the Dead can help rip out any additional taunt minions that they have hanging around. If they're there, they will know the odds of what they can pull out from this position, and that is just Tar Creeper number 2 off the top.
And also, if there's a weapon equipped to get through some of these taunt minions, they just gobble up that weapon with Gluttonous Ooze, gain the armor from the attack, and get progressively more safe. This is nutty. I was ready to call the game.
I was
wrong.
The game.
Yeah, you just lied to everyone.
I did, yeah. Apologies. I'm a dirty, dirty liar, Raven.
Learn to count damage, Song.
This smart Mistress has to go in before the minion gets killed. Even though it doesn't contribute, there's nothing else to sacrifice it into that will enable it to die this turn, and they want to take advantage of that heal as fast as they possibly can.
Suddenly Consecrate, as we said, doesn't quite get there. It does kill the Lich King, but it doesn't really get them enough damage, and this is a huge problem. What one card gets them there? I don't think there is one.
Consecrate takes care of the A2 on its own. You then have 3 more damage pushing into the Tar Creeper, meaning 2 more go space, meaning a total of 4 connects.
Then the problem is, though, the anti-magic shell.
Wow.
It's a good card. In case anyone doesn't know, it gives +2/+2 to all the minions on the board, all the friendly minions on the board, and actually makes them untargetable, which is absolutely insane. Kodo coming down now. I think did we see Kodo yesterday?
We saw them draw it very, very late after they
it.
had already been punished by 2 Doomsayers in that mage matchup.
So Kodo, although great, it's a minion that can be played, but it doesn't really do too much, to be honest. Can't even get through the Tar Creeper this turn, and that's what I was just about to say. If Tar Creeper is killed and Lich King, Anti-Magic Shell, not as good. You put Anti-Magic Shell on a Taunt minion, and that just gobbles up the taunts like there's no tomorrow. It gobbles up the minion, sorry. And just the combo. Army the Dead, Anti-Magic Shell, go.
That is very real. Oh boy.
There we go. It's go time. Blood Reaver Gul'dan is live. The most expensive Death Knight hero. And it has the most powerful hero power too. It is going to bring back all the demons that have died this game onto the board. Stan Cifka is safe, and his hero power now will gain him 3 health and deal 3 damage to any given target he chooses. And that is going to be game. Cifka did it from 1 health. Blood Reaver Gul'dan won him the game. That was just absolutely incredible. I'm losing words here because that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things we can go back and talk about in the closing stages there. The choice of the adapt of the Gentle Megasaur to go with untargetable instead of plants. Then the whiff on the Consecration that had that 1 turn where it could have ended the game. And then back to back, Tar Creepers came out, Lich King came down, the defensive options just scrapping to keep Cifka alive at 1 HP, and finally, that Blood Reaver Gul'dan with the Voidwalkers already played that game was that final element of security, because if you do not kill the Warlock the turn they play Blood Reaver Gul'dan, the game is more or less over. You cannot compete with that thing. It does what any 10-mana card should do and potentially win the game single-handedly.
Yeah, realistically, to kill Blood Reaver Gul'dan after he's played, you need like Freeze Mage kinds of burst in hand.
Right, exactly.
And that often doesn't happen when you can't just play Freeze Mage all the time. It's an absolutely insanely powerful card and an absolutely crazy game there as Czech Republic fight back versus Ukraine. You saw the Czech team just step off a minute, just having a quick couple of minutes before they get ready for the next game. So you guys can take a couple of minutes of 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Czech Republic versus Ukraine versus Ben Bro. There he is in the crowd watching. I was enjoying the matches, as this has been nuts so far. I genuinely thought Ukraine was going to take a huge lead in this series, and it's 2-2 now off the back of probably my favorite game from the whole of Hearthstone Global Games.
Very, very possibly. I mean, we have seen some incredible comebacks.
Oh, no, it was my favorite game.
I very
my favorite game.
agree with
there
you,
we go, there we go.
We have seen some other incredible comebacks, but literally from 1 HP and with the power of the new cards and the new expansion, you know, carrying them through when they needed it, it was high drama indeed. And now Nairia is going to have to step up and try and resume business as usual for Ukraine. But Krovac on the other side is going to be lining up Priest against Warrior.
Yeah, and this is kind of nuts, actually. Yesterday, we saw the power of this priest list that we saw from Czech Republic, which was the big priest that Stan Sivka was playing very early on into the expansion release. And the answer from Team USA was what they wanted was the Pirate Warrior. Right. And it wasn't enough because Barnes on 4 got them what they needed. There was double Shadow Word Pain.
It got them more than what they needed.
Got them to excess, basically. Yes. Double Shadow Word Pain helped them just make sure they were getting there as safely as possible.
Which was really smart play, by the way. Yeah. We were watching that upstairs with Twitch chat, and when they were Shadow Word Paining 1-1s, Twitch chat were freaking out. Like, you know, Czech Republic rank 25 was just spamming through chat. That play, Shadow Word Pain a 1-1 into Shadow Word Pain a 1-1 into Barnes, that was 100% correct in that situation.
You know what you need to do with this deck? Get to Barnes.
Right, exactly.
So once you get there, you're okay. You know, it's pretty much clear skies from there. But there is the advantage now that Ukraine know exactly what this deck is. Krovac is playing the Priest. Right. It's the same as it was yesterday. They're not allowed to change. And also Nairia's got the Warrior. So it means that maybe they're going to make it this time.
And here's the thing, is that USA did end up losing that matchup against the Big Priest with Pirate Warrior, but it was a matchup they were happy to get.
Yeah, they wanted it.
They thought that because of Sivka's reputation with Big Priest, it's a deck that he's been very publicly supportive of since the expansion came out, wrote a very popular guide for it. They were like, yeah, he's probably playing Big Priest. We've got Pirate Warrior against it. Great, we're favored. I'll take that matchup every single time. And, you know, more than 5 times out of 10, we're going to come out ahead. It wasn't the day for them yesterday, but now Ukraine have a chance to prove that this is actually a favorable matchup for the Pirate Warrior.
Yeah, and Krovac kind of got the rough end of the stick so far, playing this Priest twice versus Pirate Warrior, but I'm okay with it because this Priest kills me a lot on ladder.
You don't like this deck, do you? No.
Not when you could play the honorable Shadow Reaper Anduin and do what Nick Chipper did in the earlier game. Okay. Now that's nice. Big Priest, he's dead on turn 4, effectively.
All right, honest question, Raven. Examine your logic here. Is drawing Barnes on 4 that much worse than drawing Raza on 5?
Job's done.
Yes. Okay, moving on.
Done. Questions answered. Next. Okay, well, looking at the hand now, though, Obsidian Statue is not the minion Krovac is going to be looking for. It is one of the drawbacks of this deck, and why this deck isn't truly terrifying is that you can either draw your minions and not get to Barnes, which means that you are playing a deck that has, like, starts at 8. Right. You know, which is very difficult against Pirate Warrior, which is why the matchup can be really good. You are playing a lot of removal spells, or you can draw, like, too many minions and not have, you know, not be able to provide enough juice if your opponent can then trade away the minions there on the board.
Yeah, but here's kind of the unappreciated factor of the deck. The cards that are not Barnes and the insane minions that you want to pull off Barnes and then the spells that bring them all back again, the cards outside of that are all removal. Things that just get you there. So great, you know, he doesn't have an amazing looking hand to just start going off with infinite Obsidian Statues. He does have a hand that keeps him alive, at least for a couple of turns in this position. South Sea Captain comes down, but it is silenceable now to take away the buff. Potion of Madness is going to come in huge. He has that Shadow Word Horror as well, so if he can pick up pint-sized Potion at any time, that's a massive swing on the board state.
Yeah, very importantly for Ukraine as well, talking of hands, that Spellbreaker could be a game-winning card, just to say, okay, there's one taunt left he played last turn, just slip straight through it and then just go for the damage. That Spellbreaker usage is going to be very important in this game. We'll see how it plays out as Krovac and Team Czech Republic work out exactly how they want to approach this turn. They could go for Thought Steal and just say, you know, okay, grab some cards, keep going. They could go for the Silence regardless of what happens. Does look like they are going to at least Potion of Madness and start chipping away on these minions here.
Holding back the silence for now. They don't see any reason to silence this away when there is there's no pirates on the board chipping away just yet. The only thing that would have an immediate impact would be South Sea deckhands in this position. There's no weapon equipped to facilitate that right now. So they'd be a big ask for Ukraine to get immediate value out of this captain right now.
Second captain would be pretty nice here, I think.
You can start going off with Blood Cell Cultist this turn as well. Get some more minions in play first, or you can just try and get 8 out of a Corcoran Elite. That works too.
Really does. Depends what they're wanting to draw.
Oh boy!
Do you feel worse than if I drew Raza on 5 Sol? That's what I'm saying. Here we go. The shake of the head from Nyria says it all. There's an Obsidian Destroyer. That's the Obsidian statue. Sorry. And yeah, one resurrect effect from Czech Republic. And that's going to be very, very difficult.
It's not there just yet, though.
It's not.
And the upgrade weapon can deal with this absolutely no problem for now. They do have the Spellbreaker. If a bigger Obsidian statue, you know, full-size 4/8 gets revived, they do have that Spellbreaker that can answer it.
They do have the Spellbreaker if they want to use that. No! It's like, you make
it's so important not to sink damage into this 1/1. We'll just make it a 4/8. No, Raven. There's a Spellbreaker there if the revive comes out and pulls out a 4/8 again in the future.
The frustration here is, in case you're not fully aware of this card, it does have lifesteal, which means it's going to heal a little bit. But when it dies, its death rattle kills an opponent's minion on the board. So it is, well, it will happen that Ukraine, if they do upgrade and then just go into it with 1 damage, it's going to kill this captain or this Corcoran Elite, and those are getting 0 damage. There's nothing they can do about it. The benefit of this Obsidian statue having taunt and that death rattle effect is absolutely huge.
Kalento pulls his deliberation face.
Isn't that just his face?
Pretty much, yeah. Oh, no, he's upset about something now. Someone just said something stupid. Kalento is not pleased.
What if we silence the Obsidian statue? Nitchipper just wants to silence the taunt and hit them in the face again, which I'm with, I appreciate. But he starts the 1/1 that turns into a 4/9. That's a little bit scary.
Oh, definitely. Some conflict between... Yeah, okay. This is not looking pretty. A little bit of back and forth, I think, between Kalento and Nick Chipper in the background, and that would seem to be a gesture from Nyria. Like, guys, stop arguing. Just give me a play.
Also looked like Nyria was holding Kalento's head in his hand, the way he had it out. Like, there you go.
Like a goblet.
Yeah. It's like he just got him on his shoulder. It's like, come on, Kalento. What's the play?
They are going to Spellbreaker and push. They don't want this lifesteal and destruction.
Nick Chipper won!
You can see why such a hotly contested play did get so much disagreement from the players.
They're just going to go?
They're just going to go. The revive is there. They do get themselves in a mess.
There is a benefit here, right?
Go on.
The 4/8 starts trading. That's not good. The 4/8 can't trade enough in 1 turn to be resurrected now.
Right.
So, I mean, what card is there? Unless they, you know, coin out Shadow Essence to get the other one, or, you know, the Lich King or whatever as a taunt. And that's only 5/5.
Right.
So this silence opens a small window, and they have to get through that window or they lose, basically.
But is it better to do it this way? Lose 1 minion, you can develop something else behind it that isn't the Spellbreaker, so you get a similar sized board state, and then you have the Spellbreaker to take care of the next Obsidian statue.
But isn't that just like 1 extra turn?
Very possibly, yeah. And you also then get yourself into a world where, like, multiple turns down the road, they can start reviving it because there is the Obsidian statue in the pool.
Exactly.
Very, very complex turn. You can see why the argument was so animated between Team Ukraine in that position.
It's very. I mean, we talked a lot about that 1 turn, and we're not even playing.
Right.
We're just talking about the game. Bittertide Hydra can be a little bit awkward to deal with for this big priest because they pretty much just have death. Shadow Word Death, that's it. That just, you know, off the hand just deals with Hydra. So a lot of the time, it's relatively safe.
Right, but every other minion in their hand right now is 3 attack. If they play the captain, that will buff things up to 4. So you're getting back into that world where the Obsidian statue is then able to die and then goes into the pool of resurrections. This is getting very complicated, Raven.
It's actually really difficult. The deck is simple to play and play against if you take the mindset of, they Barnes on 4, the 1/1 dies, then they summon it back. Then things get quite simple.
Right.
But when that doesn't quite go to plan,
Look
this
at
gets
this.
very
Look
tricky.
at the decision. The only play that turn that does not put a 4 attack or higher minion on the board, they are trying to delay this resurrection as hard as they possibly can. Little do they know it's not there right now for Czech Republic.
Yeah, but this is pretty much amazing play from these guys because it's not there now. If it was, they lose.
Right.
They literally lose
Right.
if there's a trade into res on the Obsidian.
Especially having committed the Spellbreaker.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That could be
At this
their
point-
alternate line of play that would give them outs, where they choose not to Spellbreaker it back into a 4-8, allow it to go into the pool, Spellbreaker through one 4-8 that gets revived, taking away the Taunt and the lifesteal, and then hoping that they had enough to get through. They said that line did not find them the lethal they needed, so they just have to delay this resurrection for as long as they can. That's the line of play they've gone down.
Yeah, and unless Czech Republic just slam Dragonfire Potion this turn and hope they draw the res, it's kind of a tough one. They are going to go for Thought Steal instead, see what they get.
There's a second Spellbreaker in there.
Nice. What did I say to you before we were casting? It's like, yeah, you know, people play one-off Spellbreakers in Pirate Warrior. Maybe two's pretty good. To get the work done. The Zoss first mate, not exactly what Naria wanted to draw. I imagine the likes of Heroic Strike, you know, Mortal Strike, for example, Arcanite Reaper, just anything that can maybe get them over the line. Yeah, I did mention, though, the Beta-Tide Hydra is actually kind of hard to deal with.
Yeah, but also with the Hydras in the deck as well as double Spellbreaker, as we now see, there's often not room for things like Mortal Strike and Heroic. Those are some of the first cards that start getting cut away when you put those extra minions in the deck.
There's Shadow Essence. One turn away from being able to coin out that Obsidian that's in the hand. So the Shadow Essence will, it can still potentially get one Obsidian because the other one that was on the board was from Barnes. So there's still one in the deck. This Yashiraj may draw the one from the deck as well.
Or Lich King. Those are the two options, I believe, in this position.
Yep. I believe there's generally the Yashiraj, obviously, which we know is in the deck because Shadow Essence just summoned it, and the Ysera as well. Generally,
I don't think there is an Ysera in the Czech Republic's deck.
Yeah.
I think it is just this can pull Yashiraj, Lich King, Obsidian Statue. I think those are the options.
So, Ukraine pretty much just want to see another Yashiraj, believe it or not.
Yep. Gonna coin out the heal.
This does keep them safe. Sort of.
Yes, for now.
On paper.
Depending on what this Yashiraj pulls, this is a huge outcome for both sides. They get the Taunt.
Oof, would have been lethal if that wasn't the Lich King, if it was the Yashiraj. That would have been game. And very quickly now, Team Ukraine have to work out exactly what their approach is. Because, yeah, the Hydra just eats the Lich King. But then, do they kill the Yashiraj? Do they not? There's still, what, a 50-50 chance of the Obsidian versus the other Yashiraj?
I believe so, yeah. If I have their deck list correct in my mind, of course, this is not a revealed deck list tournament. I'm piecing this together through, you know, fractions of conversations with them and what we've seen in the previous days.
Do they actually put the weapon and the minions into the Lich King?
Value trade the Hydra?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because then you're just relying on, well, my opponent's clearly clutching at straws to defend. They might not have, you know, any form of good heal, no great healing potions, for example. So this might just go for it. They are just going to take the straight up trade, get the damage in while they can, get the Nazos first mate down, play out the whole hand, push for as much as possible. And unfortunately for Team Ukraine, they're going to be crossing their fingers again. But we can see with that coin heal, there is no coin Obsidian this turn available.
There is still Dragonfire Potion, though, which gets them there in almost every world. This is looking like, once again, Czech Republic, through the power of the early Barnes, are going to find their way through. Ukraine did everything they could possibly do to try and delay the misery, but the resurrection was just never in hand for Czech Republic.
Yeah, and the missing weapons from Team Ukraine here, no Fire War Axe, no Arcanite Reaper. They've been working off upgraded weapons of hooks. Like, this is not what you want to work with, as we saw in previous games of Pirate Warrior, where once the weapon starts stacking, the damage gets quite unbelievable. There's the Yashiraj rod now, but Obsidian Statue might end up just being the game here for Team Ukraine. There's Zoss first, mate. All the hooks that are playable have been drawn in this game, and none of the other weapons have.
Yeah, that had to be exactly Spellbreaker into a whiff from the Czech Republic on the following turn into pure damage from Ukraine from that position. But even then, they're probably unfavored from the spot they got themselves into. Really really, really interesting game. Much more engaging than the one we saw yesterday, I would say. Lot more decision-based. It wasn't just Czech Republic blowing them out with the best possible Barnes on 4, Yasharaj into Obsidian Statue. They definitely had counterplay against it, did Ukraine. They took one line, they stuck to it 100%, which is about as much as you can ask in the scenario. But of course, you have to avoid being results-oriented as much as possible. We can see with caster vision that the resurrection was never there.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough matchup to navigate, especially when your opponent does get the Barnes on 4. But I think that game goes to show that there's actually way more depth to a lot of decks and a lot of matchups than most people probably perceive. And that game specifically was insane. The silence and just managing the cards. If Nyria hadn't gone like, what, Nazos first mate, upgrade, Nazos first mate, as like, draws within 5 draws, it would have been absolutely insane. But Czech Republic are taking the lead now in this finals, 3-2 versus Team Ukraine. Next up is going to be Yala versus Dr. Hippie. Yala on the Druid and Dr. Hippie on the Warlock. I do believe we're going to be getting into this fairly quickly as well, as this could be the last game of this finals. If Dr. Hippie pulls out the win, we go all the way to the ace game, and it means it's going to be Stansifka versus Kalento, and they get to pick one of the decks they haven't played yet.
You have no idea how much I want to see that.
I think I do. I think I do.
Oh my God, if that is what this all comes down to, Stansifka one-on-one with Kalento, one of the most creative, innovative players we've ever seen in Hearthstone in Stansifka, up against the legendary Kalento, the man that just does not make mistakes, the pure mechanical player. I would love to see this come down to that finale, but Yala will be looking to take this down for the Czech Republic just a little bit earlier. Dr. Hippie is on that Warlock that we saw him play yesterday. It is another Blood Reaver Gul'dan deck. We did not see Blood Reaver come into play, but because of the makeup of the deck,
it would be crazy. Yeah, it would be crazy not to include Blood Reaver Gul'dan in the form that Dr. Hippie is playing out now.
And surprise, the Druid is a Jade Druid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell you something, I don't know if you know this, even though I know you do. I played a lot of Jade Druid this expansion to test how powerful it is. Turns out it's pretty good. And a lot of the time...
This has been your Jade Druid update with Raven. Check back in for more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say exactly the same thing later.
Yeah.
And, well, there's one of the culprits. A lot of people have been coming up against Ultimate Infestation. Probably
that hand is great.
I did a great tweet the other day. It's awesome. It's about how good Ultimate Infestation works out to be in your opening hand. But anyway, let's look at this opening hand.
The tweet was great. I appreciate it. It was a wonderful meme. Those statistics are skewed, though. Because
of course they are.
It was keep rate. It was keep rate of Ultimate Infestation, which you only keep if the rest of your hand is nuts. That's why it has a high win rate in the opening hand.
It's also why it was funny.
It's true, yeah.
But looking at this game...
I don't want people to go away from this thinking, oh, you just keep Ultimate Infestation every
No
game.
one listens to me anyway, so all is fine. But look at this game. I found that I played this matchup quite a lot, actually. And Jade Druid, more often than people think, doesn't have to infinite Jades at all.
No.
You just chain the Jades down, and because of cards like Ultimate Infestation, you don't really run dry like we saw Druids do in the previous meta, in the previous expansion, is that Druids would often get to turn 7 and 8, and if they've just dumped everything onto the board, either aggressively or defensively, then they're kind of just like, oh, I really need a Nourish right about now. There are only 2 in the deck.
Right.
But with Ultimate Infestation, you can refill up your hand as well as pile on the pressure, and that's exactly what I believe Yala will need to do here.
Yeah, I remember Kalento's reaction to Ultimate Infestation being announced. His first thought was this is better with 10 mana on average than a Gadgetzan Auctioneer turn.
Sure.
And that's exactly the kind of scenario you're seeing, where Auctioneer is now falling by the wayside, and Ultimate Infestation just does that job in its own little package.
Yeah, it's a very, very scary card. The fact that Druid can get to it a lot quicker than they should be allowed to with cards like Jade Blossom.
Right.
With this ramp now, it means that they just get there early. They spend all of their cards in hand to get there, then refill them, and then start to pile on the pressure.
So as the Warlock in this matchup, you do have to play for a little bit of pressure. You have to play for tempo. Your tempo is weirdly offset because what you're trying to do is actually just generate your demons as quickly as you can, even if they get you little value here and there. And then Blood Reaver Gul'dan is the huge blowout, because if you suddenly Blood Reaver Gul'dan and pull back 2 4/5s, 2 1/3s, and a 6/6, and you have that ridiculously oppressive hero power that comes alongside it, that's a swing that Jade Druid's unable to deal with a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult. Blood Reaver Gul'dan, of course, course, only a one-off in the deck. The hero cards can only have one. And you really do need it in this matchup. As you can see, these Warlock decks don't really have minions that are supposed to fight and put pressure on early on. Right. They're all about just not dying. Voidwalker, Mistress of Mixtures. They're all just defensive tools to get the Warlock to that late game where they are almost immortal after Blood Reaver comes down.
Yeah, special nod to Defile in this matchup as well, which is an extremely effective board clear in a lot of spots because of the incremental nature of Jades. They go 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, 4-4. Great! I'll just defile that board away. Seems solid.
Yeah, there's a funny joke going around that people will be playing Kara Kazim to create the minions to build up to the Jade clears mid-game.
Oh, so even if they've got like 4-4, 5-5, 6-6,
you play Kara Kazim and Defile.
Defile, yeah, that makes sense. It's a nice meme.
It's pretty good. I was impressed. I was impressed. Good hand though. Even Despicable Dreadlord is actually kind of hard to deal with because Czech Republic hasn't been doing the Jade sort of early plays that they're actually fully capable of with this deck.
The plan is much more ramp, ultimate infestation right now. That's the line that they're on. And that's kind of your window in that you either get a very quick Jade hand with Jade Druid or you get a very quick ramp into card draw hand with ultimate infestation. You'll very rarely do both at the same time. So there's either a gap where you can come in on value or come in on tempo and punish them for whatever line they've taken.
Twilight Drake is actually a great draw here. Team Ukraine Doctor, we can just drop that, and then that is a minion that is very, very difficult for Druid to deal with unless, Czech Republic are playing Naturalize. It's a deck I first saw from Purple, and Naturalize at the moment is very, very good.
Yes.
And if someone's going to play Naturalize in this tournament, it would be Czech Republic.
I feel like you can say that about any given Hearthstone card.
If cards are going to be played in this tournament, it's going to be Czech Republic.
Right.
Because they're playing in the tournament. There we go.
Yeah, Naturalize, I think, was initially a reaction to the perhaps overuse of Lich King early on. It was a very exciting card. People kind of felt like you could slip it into every single deck. That's not quite the case. But when everyone's playing 8 mana, 8/8 taunts, I made this point yesterday. Yeah, you kill that thing for 1 mana. You take your 7 mana net tempo advantage and you push through. But still, a fantastic card just to snipe down Mountain Giants, Twilight Drakes in this kind of matchup, as well as other big demons. Plenty of other great tools.
Also, as well, it was to do with Black Knight, right? Everyone was playing Black Knight to beat Lich King and Primordial Drake, sorry.
Right.
But then people started to stop playing Primordial Drakes because they were always being Black Knighted.
Sure.
But you still want to kill that Lich King and the Mountain Giants. And so suddenly Naturalize just kills a big threat, and it doesn't have a
That's why you saw
specified.
Big Game Hunter coming into the same list as well. You're giving yourself multiple options to deal with these huge minions that are hugely problematic if they stick around. The Lich King sticks. That is a mess being made of your game plan.
Yeah, almost any of those one card it draws after the turn it's played is strong. Well, it starts getting 2 to 3. That's when you're going to really be in a problem here. Look at this. There is some damage available from hand. A lot of this Warlock deck is actually just removal. You can see the use of the Zealot now.
This card's so good in this deck.
It's great.
Real sleeper hit of this expansion, the Tainted Zealot. Just particularly in this Warlock deck. The usage you get out of it just alongside the Mortal Coils and other small removal spells, but then the back-breaking AoEs you can get with Defile are the real standout in a lot of spots.
Sometimes I die to that and I don't even understand. I've not done the math.
All you have to do is kill a 2/2 with the initial proc of Defile with the spell damage, and then because your Divine Shield gets cleared off the first one, the second proc of Defile will always kill your 1/1, then it will go off again, and that's so much cumulative damage off the AoE.
Yeah, here's the Innovate Ultimate Infestation, and this is very important though, because if you look, the hand is pretty full now. It's done its job, but this Twilight Drake is still alive and contesting with the help of the Zealot, the Ghoul. So the board isn't going to be overrun yet. And yes, I did see the big wind-up point to the screen, Sol. That is a Yogg Saron in the hand for Yala. And
just when you thought it was safe to come out from under the blankets, there's a Yogg.
Yeah, this card can throw pretty much anything out the window and just
out the window.
Just out the window.
Yeah.
Just throw it out the window.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what Yogg does,
You don't have that anymore, you can't have that.
And then they throw you out the window and damage to face.
Right.
So it never ends. And as you can see, there's a lot of spells in hand as well for Czech Republic, so they can really build up into an either we're pushed back and we need something crazy to happen, or Yogg-Saron just do something to their face and win the game.
Crucially, they haven't yet played a Wild Growth this game, as you can see in hand, so once they get to turn 10, those Wild Growth then represent 2 spells each, which are supercharging the Yogg even further.
Despicable Dreadlord is so good.
Look at
this!
Great.
It's
Great
insane.
card.
It's just Mortal Coil for the board.
I think we call that Arcane Explosion, where I come from.
I call it Despicable Dreadlord. Did you put a 4/5 on it?
Okay, fair enough.
Again, Despicable Dreadlord, Abyssal Enforcer, 2 of the, and Voidwalker, 2 of the cards, 3 of the cards, sorry, you can see in hand, that would come back from Blood Reaver Gul'dan.
Yes.
And that combo works very well because the Voidwalkers, often that late in the game, tank like an 8/8 Jade because there's nothing left to kill the Voidwalkers with.
Right, but I mentioned, normally, if you get this very demon-heavy hand that we're seeing right now, Voidwalkers, Despicable Dreadlord's already going down, Abyssal is ready to go as well. If you then hit your Blood Reaver, that can just be lights out for Druid because they can't contest that amount of stats in one go on the board. They're just not capable of it. The cards aren't there in the class to be able to compete. Well, one big asterisk is that they sometimes play Yogg-Saron, and that can be the final answer if they have no other tools to deal with that big demon board state if it comes out.
Also as well, like there's a Primordial Drake in the hand for Czech, so it's like they're just playing hipster Druid at this point. They're
Very anti-aggro Druid,
they're just like, we're just going to play the list more or less that everyone was playing beforehand.
Yeah, we saw Primordial Drake, Earthen Scales, and Yogg are in there. 3 cards that are kind of an extra security blanket against aggressive decks. We saw this Jade Druid metagame develop where the ladder got so infested by Jade Druid that the Jade Druids then got greedier to beat the other Jade Druids. And then the aggro decks had to come along to start punishing them. This one is going the other way. It's very concerned about losing to aggro. That's why you see these Earthen Scales, that Yogg-Saron, that Primordial Drake coming in.
Yeah, and Team Ukraine here are doing a very good job of keeping a tight grip on this board. They are not letting Jarl and Team Czech Republic just go wide with Jades, or even just minions. They're just saying, look, yes, I could go face for some more damage, get a little bit aggressive, but no, I'm going to make sure you never keep hold of the board and never have that opportunity to go really wide.
Just lacking the Jade presence that they need right now to be able to fight back. This might just be a removal turn and perhaps more importantly, a supercharged Yogg turn.
I was just going to say, I think this is the one turn you say, I'm just going to Wild Growth twice, draw 2 cards, worst case, you know, I've got some Swipe Wrath. You can actually just deal with everything and cycle cards and charge the Yogg. Even though it doesn't look flashy, that's a lot of work done for 1 turn.
Right. You've also got to ask yourself a question, like, some of these cards in hand need to start getting spent. Spreading Plague is going to be a difficult card to use in this matchup unless you want to hold on to it for the Blood Reaver turn and use that as a stalling tactic. But it would be just that, a stalling tactic. So we'll see what they end up going with here.
It's going to be Primordial Drake. Very susceptible. Very susceptible to Black Knight, though.
True.
Medivh comes down, there's no direct kill on the Drake, but maybe it's worth the investment. There is Shadow Bolt, there is Mortal Coil as well to be able to just trade. There is even just Abyssal into Abyssal, so you trade with the one on the board and then play the other one. You sort of reset the board to how it looked before, and you can follow it with a Voidwalker. But again, talking of what you do with your turns, I think this might just be enough to play Medivh.
I think it's Medivh and
yeah,
Clock
you
Raven.
just drop it and be like, let's go.
Yeah. The longer and longer you wait, the more pressure Jade Druid will slowly start putting you under. It becomes more difficult to spend 8 mana on a card that does nothing the turn you play it. This is the turn you can get away with it. 100% agree with this play from Ukraine.
Just gonna leave it open for the for the Primordial Drake to choose where to attack into. That is Malfurion, the Pestilent, the Death Knight version of the Druid class at the moment, and in my opinion, the most powerful, just as a singular card on this one.
Value per mana, though, right? Like, Gul'dan's effect overall is more powerful, I would say.
Yeah, I'm saying powerful in actual usage.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Where you have to factor the cost of the card into it as well. For 7 mana, what this does compared to what Gul'dan does for 10, sure, maybe we can have that argument, but just raw effect if you take the mana cost away.
Yeah, and just the fact it does it quicker,
yes,
right? Suddenly, the hero power is very strong for Gul'dan, but if you've already done 9 to face in that amount of time, it's effectively 3 turns quicker, then suddenly, it starts to stall snowball harder earlier on. So yeah, just an all-round pretty good Death Knight card here.
Time waits for no one.
I think this was my number 2 card in the set pre-announcement. I think I picked Bone Mare over Malfurion. That was the only one. I think this was number 2 on my list. Amusingly, because I clearly don't know how Bone Mare works.
Yeah. Was 5/5.
Yeah.
Wasn't strong enough. We need to buff it.
I know. Dreadlord number 2. The demons are really filling out, but there is one crucial card that Ukraine are missing, and they really are on a timer here. They have to find their way through their deck to that Blood Reaver Gul'dan, because they have to make the push. They can't sit around and start trying to clear this board forever, because we know that Jade Druid has those infinite engines available to them.
I think that Dreadlord into Shadowbolt into Coil is really good here. It's rough with Atiesh equipped, obviously. You know, you don't really want to Coil when you've got the weapon equipped, but the Dreadlord just makes the trades actually work really well.
What are you Shadowbolt coiling?
In Shadowbolt Coil the 4/6.
That's only 5.
Yeah, Dreadlord.
Right. Oh, you're playing Dreadlord in the same turn.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The Dreadlord and then the trade of 7 plus
but
the one from the 8.
But you would miss out on the coil value from that, because it's not dealing with the killing one.
Yeah, but
yeah.
It's pretty clean, whereas at the moment this is just being left with well,
I
say at the moment. All right, okay, look, if you're gonna rip Savannah Highmane off the weapon, then great. It's what I did mention though, the coil is low value with Atiesh available.
Right, and I do like this play better for that reason. You know, you can fit in those cheaper spells more flexibly.
Want those Dreadlords on the board.
I mean, for sure, there is merit to just jamming out the demons as fast as you possibly can, but this was just such a powerful looking Siphon Soul. You know, anything that comes anywhere near the effect of like a Firelands portal with Atiesh equipped is something that you need to go for.
The fact it was Highmane, I mean, right, this has always been a problem card for Druid.
Absolutely.
Woo-hoo. 5/5 and 6/6 from these Jades, so still they're only sort of mid-level Jades, I would say. They're not, I think once you start hitting 7, 7, 8, 8, that's when they start saying, well, I might just die next turn if they hit me. But these are still controllable here for Doctipi and Team Ukraine, and they need to find a way to get this done, because if they lose this game, that is going to be the series and the finals and the championship.
Does Defile do work here? You could trade Voidwalker into a 2/3 first. That then gives you a 1 health and a 2 health minion on the board. Defile starts the chain, kills the 1, the 2, and the 3, but then you're missing the 4 to bridge the gap into the 5 and 6.
Preemptively coil. So you hit 4, but then it'll only do 5. Double Defile. I mean, you have Highmane, right?
You do have the Highmane to make an attack with.
Do you even need to Defile?
It's a very good question.
I actually don't think you do.
I just wanted to look at it straight away because Defile plays the fun.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to try and break it down.
But
Pistol with
like fun.
Probably does the job just fine.
And also, you don't want to weaken the position of the Highmane because it's so strong.
Is he going to hit the 5/1 with his last charge? I think he is, yeah. I like this play. Not getting too greedy. He's used a lot of his high-value spells in hand here. That's only the difference between perhaps using a Defile or a Mortal Coil with that last charge. Chooses just to take out the 5/1 with it instead.
I wonder if this is going to be a Spreading Plague turn. Because you need to gain time, because at the moment, even with double swipe in hand, it doesn't do much. Ooh, this is kind of tricky. Malfurion could be pretty safe. Create 2 taunts. Can still play an idol behind it and still hero power. Can't hero power and kill the 2/4 though, which is a bit annoying.
Right, with a lack of hero power target, if you're making that play, would it be better to just jam the Wild Growth with the 2 remaining mana instead? Just cycle charge the Yogg
Your
again?
opponent is nearly dead. And you've got double swipe in hand. Malfurion taunt hero power face, that's 3, puts them to 11. Next turn you kill them.
Very fair.
Oh, I don't know about this. It's the solid play. You get more value from Spreading Plague this way, and guaranteed value. It's not just going to be a dead card in your hand.
Right.
But you could have settled lethal next turn if your opponent doesn't heal. And yeah, you know, it's an if. We can see that there's some Fairy Protector in the hand.
I mean, this does still potentially set up lethal, right? Like, there's a 7/7. If that leaves, plus the swipe is 11, 12 from the hero power, so he just needs a 1/5 to live to be able to get through.
That is true.
Yeah.
I actually forgot that the Jades were that big, and he had and he still had the idol. What did I say? Like when you get to 7, 7, 8, 8, you get to the point where you might die.
And I
quickly.
actually do really like this play because I don't think spreading plague is getting better because. Yes, he can use it against the Blood Reaver if it comes down, but it's not going to contest that board. That's not a winning play.
It's to survive one more turn.
Right, that is a stalling play. His answer to the Blood Reaver board, if it gets to that point, is the Yogg. So the Spreading Plague maxed out on the value from the card itself. It set up lethal, and it helped to charge his Yogg in the same turn.
Okay. That means that there's no chance of going for twisting this turn. There needs to be something else. Unleash me. Is this some Fury Protector which is going to stop the Jade actually hitting through for 7, which is the big deal here. Right. Is the Jade connecting. But there's still a swipe. Swipe Hero Power doesn't get through. Swipe. Oh, hang on. Yeah, it's close, but no cigar. Can set up for next turn though. Now with this is another use for Ultimate Infestation actually. You just get them for 5 and win. Because you're not bothered about taunts. It's actually, it sounds kind of dumb, but it's actually used quite often to just say, well, Druid outside of double swipe have never had good direct face damage. Right. Now they just have 5, well 10 technically, across 2 cards in the deck that you can just aim at face, go. So this turn could be a double swipe to clear the minions off. Oh, he's used a swipe. It's been a long series. When did he use swipe?
Last time.
Oh, for the, yeah, okay. I'm back with you. He could still swipe to clear some of the minions off. Right. And still set up for the pretty much the same play. Going to use Ultimate Infestation instead. Yeah, I like and get through this to actually get the swing through.
The reason I was just about to suggest this is it's just a perfect lineup, right? Like any turn after this, he's pushing himself into fatigue with the Ultimate Infestation. He had 5 cards left in hand. He was drawing his remaining 5 from the deck. It just lines up so perfectly.
Yeah. Now though, the powerhouse card here on Jarla's side of the board is only 7-2, so it's susceptible to a lot of removal now. Yes. It's not just like, well, you know, it needs to be a crazy Defile, or it needs to be anything a bit more powerful than that. It will just die to pretty much anything here, and with the Zealot available, this Defile can start to stack up a little bit here.
Yeah, also crucially, the play on the last turn from the Czech Republic means that they're now in Infinite Jade Idol situation. If the game does come to that, they now have an empty deck, a Jade Idol ready to shuffle, and a way to start drawing cards with Wild Growth as well as Fandral to keep that engine going infinitely. So emptying the deck here with perfect timing with the Ultimate Infestation actually does a lot of work for them.
Yeah, and we see the life tap there. It might look very risky, you know, tapping down to 8 health. But they need that Gul'dan. They need to dig. Currently 6 cards left in the deck. Still not got the Blood Reaver Gul'dan. And honestly, if they drew that a couple of turns ago, they would be in a very strong position indeed here. Yeah, I'm just going to start this Defile though.
Defile is going to make the plays here. It'll leave the Ghoul hanging around on 1, so they're just going to fire out the second Defile, drop the Drake behind it, which means they have complete information as to what they're playing around right now. They know every card that's remaining. Remember, when we spoke to Ukraine, they said Dr. Hippie and Nick Chipper, their primary role is to track the cards, both Ukraine's and their opponents. So if they're doing their job properly, they should know every single card they need to play around now.
There is one more turn for Dr. Hippie and Team Ukraine here. There is Twisting Nether available. No matter how big this board gets, it will be wiped next turn. As you can see, it's getting pretty big when you can shuffle Jades, play Jades, and nourish them at the same time. This is kind of huge, but there is the Twisting Nether, and there is Blood Reaver Gul'dan. Are they going to get bit of revenge for the last game here? We're going to find out. Twisting Nether will be able to clear the board if that's what they go for. I think they kind of have to. And maybe they even play the Mistress of Mixtures beforehand to just guarantee a bit of a heal.
The problem is the Nether just means an 11-11, a 12-12, and a 13-13 coming down next turn. If they're aware there is still that Wild Growth there, that happens every single time.
That's true. There are only Jades left, and there is enough card draw to get there. But there are 2 Voidwalkers.
Yes.
And like I said, like what feels like a long time ago now, Voidwalkers often tank like 8 Jades because there's just nothing left. We see Swipe is available, but very importantly, there isn't the Malfurion hero power available at the moment that also kills one of the Voidwalkers off.
Very true. Those things cannot be done in the same turn. Malfurion to kill one Voidwalker and Swipe to kill the other.
Yep.
That's too restrictive. So Czech Republic here could even plan ahead for this and get Malfurion into play preemptively, sacrifice a little bit of Jade Idol pressure by not playing the Wild Growth, and then set themselves up for lethal through the Voidwalkers.
Wouldn't mind that. Even if Blood Reaver, like, and Team Ukraine stay alive for like one additional turn.
Have both been played? That's a caveat we need to pay attention to.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Knowing me now that I've said that, they won't have. They'll be non-played, knowing me. Pretty sure at least one's been played. There's an 11-11. If you didn't know how Jade works, there's a 12-12.
Excuse me as well, I forgot as well that they had to be accounting for the Jade Blossom, so they knew that 11s, 12s, 13s, and 14s were going to come down this turn again if they had tracked the deck 100%.
Blood Reaver Gul'dan gains you 5 armor, puts you to 13, gain another 4 from the Mistress of Mixtures, but now even with double Voidwalker, not going to be enough. I think that might be it. Unless there's some crazy cards we've not seen, Gluttonous Ooze isn't gonna get them there. And are we about to see Czech Republic win this finals off the back of Jade Druid?
Dr. Hiffy leans back. The look of resignation has appeared on his face. Ukraine just begging someone sees a line, but I don't think it's there, Raven. We are going to get the answer. It is a full suite of demons that comes back here, but the 2-1-3s are not going to be enough. They give it up, and Czech Republic, perhaps even the underdogs in this Final Four, have used the creative deck building and the captaincy of Stan Sivka to push them through. They are your Hearthstone Global Games champions.
Yeah, extremely solid play from this team. When we were interviewing, when we were talking to them backstage, they said, Stan Sivka makes, like, signs off the calls, you know, like, he's prepped a lot of the decks. We play as a team, that each player has different inputs, but a very, very strong performance. So a huge congratulations to Czech Republic, and a great play from Team Ukraine as well. They were deemed one of the favorites very early on, and they came second place. So give it a round of applause for Ukraine as well. Great performance from both of these teams. Absolutely amazing. Did you think it was going to get there for Czech Republic?
It did really come down to the wire on a number of occasions, primarily in those Warlock games, right? Like the comeback from 1 HP from the Czech Republic side itself, and then just that Blood Reaver Gul'dan just coming out maybe 1 or 2 turns too late on the other side for Ukraine. Fantastic series to close it out. I've loved seeing some of these decks come out from the Czech Republic, some of the deck building decisions really appearing in the light of day and having direct impacts on the win rates of these decks. But again, I just want to give a shout out to the Hearthstone Global Games as a whole. It's been a phenomenal initiative, and we haven't seen anything like this before. You know, it surprised me, honestly, how much the communities got involved and really rooted for their home countries. They got to pick who their representatives were from the very get-go and the voting process, and 16 long weeks of action has led us to this ultimate outcome.
Yeah, and we can see the story of the finals there. It was very back and forth, one game going to one team, then all the way, you know, Petrovac, battling back against Nyria, back and forth there, but then Czech Republic just took a hold of it, and I genuinely think all off the back of that 1 HP Warlock win.
That was incredible.
That was, I was like, are we going to see this? It's like, maybe. No, we did, and it was absolutely awesome. Czech Republic are your champions, defeating Ukraine in the finals. And I'll even go as far to admit, there was a big Priest game in that series that I didn't completely hate. I enjoyed it.
It was indeed very
weird.
Enjoyable, but please don't play that deck on ladder. It's very frustrating. Incredible story all around, though. And Czech Republic, deserving winners. I don't think anyone would have really picked them out at the start of this to be top of their list. Bang, number 1, I'm picking Czech Republic, except maybe the home Czech Republic fans. But the Final Four that we had all had their own incredible stakes on the line here, and it was Czech Republic who was perhaps able to pick off a couple of little upsets, but it was the Stan Sivka input. They were all very quick to admit that. He has really been the leading light, although, of course, a fantastic team effort from all the players.
Great performance from everyone there. So that's going to be it from us. All you're going to see from us today. So I'd like to just thank you for watching Global Games throughout the many weeks it's been on, and for watching the finals and the conclusion here at Gamescom. But for now, we're going to head over to Rachel with the winners.
Thank you guys so much. It is now my pleasure to invite to the stage the executive producer of Hearthstone, Mr. Hamilton Chu, and our third-placed tied teams. Now, Hamilton, as I understand it, you have some words for our players here today?
Yes, I have the best words. Thanks for everybody for coming. This has been an amazing tournament. It's our first ever Hearthstone Global Games, and I don't think you could have asked for a better tournament or semifinals or finals. So first, I want to congratulate all the teams. We had 48 countries participating across the world, and it was amazing to see people come together, playing as teams and competing in Hearthstone. And a special congratulations for all 4 teams that made it here. Let's hear it for the USA and South Korea. The other ones are coming next. And then I think we have a special something for the other 2 teams that Rachel will tell you about.
That's right. You guys have brought special medals here. So let's first give it up for our second place finishers on Ukraine. Our first player, Nyria. Kalento. Dr. Hippie. And Nick Chipper. And now our first place team. Let's give it up one more time for Czech Republic. An incredible performance over the course of these 4 months, beating out 47 other teams, led of course by Stan Sivka. That's on you, Hamilton.
My bad.
We also have Jarla. Polkravac. And CzechCloud. Now, Stan Sivka, you have done such an impressive job leading this team. I know your teammates look to you with a lot of pride and a lot of excitement. Do you have any words for your team and your fans?
Yeah, you are pretty good, guys. I'm pretty happy about your performance, and I'm super happy about our performance in general. Like, we might not be considered the strongest team, but we felt we worked pretty good together, and I'm really happy that we took home the trophy, and I'm really happy about it.
Congratulations, Stan Sivka. Congratulations, members of Team Congratulations, members of Team Czech Republic. Ukraine, you guys did great too. Let's give it up one more time for your winners, Czech Republic. Congratulate all the teams that came out and competed in the Hearthstone Global Games. Also, all the incredible casters we've had, especially Raven, Sottle, Gaskin, and Falcone, who you saw here today at Gamescom. Thank you to Blizzard for an incredible game, and thank you everyone for watching, for playing, and for joining us here today.